Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Magsisimula na po tayo ng ating webinar. So I'll stop sharing the house rules. Reminders lang po. Sa chat box po, huwag niyo pong punuin masyado yung chat box kasi hindi nasusundan pag may tanong lang po o concerns. Pag kailangan, direct message na po kayo. So please mute your microphone and keep your camera off. If you have any questions for the speakers, please type them in the chat box. So kung may mga concerns po, message lang. May mga nagtaas ng kamay. Pakipalitan po yung pangalan ng mga unusual yung pangalan sa name tag para maayos po ang ating attendance. Magandang umaga po. I'm now turning you over to Teacher Kai for our MC for the day.
Jahan, sandali lang. May nakita kasi ako sa message niyang tatay yata ni Sam Goles. Hindi yata niya alam yung paano ang link. Baka nakalimutan isabi sa kanya yung link. Hindi ko rin alam ng cellphone, ang email address niya.
Hindi ko rin kilala. So kung sino po
baka si Alexis, baka may email address.
Doc, excuse po. Okay na po. Na-send ko na po.
Okay na? Sige. Salamat. Thank you very much kasi nakita ko sa chat. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Ayun po. Magsisimula na po tayo. I'm now turning you over to Teacher Kai from Health Learning Center para simulan ang ating program. I will stop sharing the house rules. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so good morning po. Welcome po to today's activity, Person with Down Syndrome Transitioning to Adulthood, a virtual conference. Before we start, may we call on Attorney Angel Ojastro for the opening prayer.
Magandang umaga po. Bago po natin umpisahan ang ating panalangin sa Diyos, let me call your attention first on full verses that we will be focusing on sa ating pong pagpapanalangin. Let me read to you Philippians chapter 2 verse 4. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Also in James chapter 2 verses 14 to 17, suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Let us contemplate on those two verses. Tayo po lahat ay manalangin sabay-sabay. God our Father, maraming salamat po Panginoon sa pagbibigay mo sa amin ng araw na ito, Father. Araw na ito, Panginoon, ay pinagkaloob mo upang kaming lahat, Panginoon, na narito sa virtual conference na ito ay magpuri sa iyo, Father, because you have given us the privilege na magamit mo, Panginoon, sa ministry mo ito, sa pagtulong, Panginoon, sa mga kabataan na mayroong Down syndrome, at sa mga magulang, Panginoon, na patuloy na nag-aaruga sa mga anak, sapagkat, Panginoon, ang pagmamahal ng bawat magulang, Panginoon, ay kahaling tulad at gusto namin maangyalin tulad sa pagmamahal mo sa amin bilang aming Ama at kami, Panginoon, bilang iyong mga anak. Maraming salamat, Father, sapagkat binigyan mo po kami ng kailangan ng mga resources upang kahit paano po ay maitaguyod ang kapakanan ng mga kabataang ito, Panginoon, na nangangailangan ng assistance namin to have something to share to them, Father. Bawat isa po sa amin, Panginoon, ay mayroong role sa ministry mong ito, Panginoon. Magkakaiba man po ito, iba man po, Panginoon, ang aming responsibilities. Bawat isa po ay mahalaga. Salamat po, Panginoon, sapagkat binigyan mo halaga ang buhay ng bawat isa sa amin. Lalong-lalo na po, Panginoon, ang mga bata na mayroong Down syndrome. Maraming salamat po muli, Panginoon. At At ang araw po ito, lahat ng activities namin, lahat ng pag-uusapan, lahat ng decisions, lahat ng giving that we could have for this day, Panginoon. Sa iyo po namin lahat ito iniaalay sapagkat, Panginoon, in the end, ikaw po, Panginoon, ang nagtalaga sa amin at kami po, Panginoon, ay magiging accountable sa lahat ng activities namin. Panginoon. Maraming salamat po. And we pray for the safety and good health of everyone attending sa conference po ito, Panginoon. And everyone else sa mundong ito, Panginoon, nangangailangan po sa iyo. Ako, Panginoon, ibigyan mo sila ng lahat ng pag-asa. All this we pray in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Good morning po.
Okay. To give us the welcome address, let us welcome Health Learning Center Chairman of Board of Trustees,
Bigay.
Dr. Crisostomo Lacuesta.
Bigay. Pambansang awit muna. Nawala po ang audio ng ating national anthem. So for that moment, lahat po tayo deaf, pero yun na po yung ating national anthem. Nagloloko po ang internet, kaya hirap ang audio. So we'll try to fix our feed now. Teacher Kai, back to you.
Okay po, so good morning po ulit. To give us the welcome address, let us all welcome Health Learning Center Chairman of Board of Trustees, Dr. Crisostomo Lacuesta.
Hello, good morning to all participants of this webinar on helping our children with Down syndrome in growing to their full-grown state. In behalf of the Health Learning Center Foundation Incorporated, Naga City, in cooperation with Northfield, Philippines, I welcome you to all. I welcome you to participate in this webinar. About 35 years ago, an angel was born in Naga City, and he was named Emmanuel. He was an inspiration to Naga City. That's why we are now here. He was named Emmanuel. That means he's a blessing from God, with God being with us. And he opened our heart to open our benevolence to our less fortunate brothers and sisters, no matter how their circumstances they are in. So we are inspired by this child, and that inspired the mother, no other than our founding member, Dr. De Los Reyes, to embark on a noble project in taking care of our children with Down syndrome. Angelo Emmanuel is now about 35 years old, nearing his age of what we call ageless circle, because he is still here inspiring us to pursue our noble project of inspiring the parents, the people, in helping our children with Down syndrome. And he is Emmanuel Angelo de los Reyes. He was our first child who inspired us to pursue these noble projects. So I invite you to participate in this webinar so that we can know how to assist them in these challenging times. This is congratulations for being a lover of these children. Thank you.
Thank you po, Dr. Lacuesta, for the message.
Nawala ang MC natin. So, ay, tuloy lang po.
Sir.
Our next would be the opening remarks from Ms. Tess de la Cruz, the Program Manager of Northfield Foundation. Para anyayahan po tayo na buksan ang ating programa ngayong umaga. Ma'am Tess, are you there po?
Yes, Johan.
Alright, Ma'am Tess, you're on air po.
Salamat, Johan. Nais kong batiin tayong lahat sa araw na ito. Magandang umaga sa virtual conference on persons with Down syndrome transition to adulthood. Sama-sama nating bigyan ng kabuluhan ang araw na ito para sa mga bata at kabataang may Down syndrome at kanilang pamilya. Sadyang iniakma ng mga tagapagsalita, nating mga magagaling na tagapagsalita mula sa larangan ng medisina at edukasyon na sina Dr. Alexis Reyes, ang isa sa consultant ng Northfield Foundation, Dr. Estrada, Dr. Lianto, at si Professor David at help ang mga paksa na ating mapapakinggan sa araw na ito. Sa mga pinagpipitagan ng mga panauhin at tagapagsalita mula sa ahensya ng pamahalaan at pribadong sektor, mabuhay po tayong lahat. Naway patuloy tayong maging daan upang proteksyonan, ipagtanggol ang karapatan ng bawat isa ng mga bata at kabataang may Down syndrome kasama ang kanilang pamilya. Hindi madali ang maging magulang, hindi madali ang pagkakaroon ng ganitong klaseng kondisyon. Subalit, naniniwala tayong lahat na dahil sa ating mga misyon, ay patuloy nating kahit paano ay maiibsan ang bawat hinaing o mga issue ng bawat mga batang ito at ng kanilang pamilya. Ito ay mangyayari lamang kung sama-sama tayong magtutulungan, sama-sama nating bubuklarin ang lahat ng ating mga kakayahan, ang lahat ng resources na meron tayo upang sa gayon katulad ng isang walis ay bigkis-bigkis nating iipunin ang lahat ng ito nang sa gayon Sa darating na panahon ay makita natin na nagniningning ang mga batang ito sa iba't ibang larangan at kakayahan na mayroon po sila. Muli, salamat po sa Health Learning Center sa pag-oorganisa nito, sa City Government ng Naga City, sa DASAPI, sa ating pong lahat, mga magulang, saludo po kami sa inyo. Isang magandang umaga po at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Tess. Thank you very much po. Teacher Kai, andyan ka na?
Okay po, sir, nandito na po.
Tuloy lang.
Okay, salamat po, Ma'am Tess, sa message. So, moving forward po, for the inspirational talk, please welcome Naga City's Honorable Mayor Nelson S. Legasyon.
Video lang po ang message na pwedeng maibigay ng ating mayor. Pero ito po ang kanyang video and tinesting ko na po yung sound. Sana meron na. Kung wala pa rin po, pag-isabi. Let's try.
Marhay na aga po sa gabos. Transitioning to adulthood is a milestone that always comes with mixed emotions. This is the same to everybody, whether they be able-bodied individuals or persons with disability. All persons go through this stage with both the feelings of excitement and uncertainty. As a matter of fact, even this representation had its own shares of enthusiasm and at the same time, doubt when adulthood and the changes that go along with it were already at my doorstep. Thus, I would like to assure everyone, especially those with Down syndrome and their parents, that whatever you are going through right now, the anticipation for a better future with a mixture of anxiety and worry, these are perfectly fine and are absolutely understandable, especially today with the present public health emergency at the background. Everybody is going through a roller coaster ride. Nevertheless, amidst everything that is going on, we assure you that you have us in your journey. We are here to support and provide assistance. In fact, the city government of Naga, under the leadership of this representation and in cooperation with the Sangguniang Panglungsod of Naga, is the first local government unit in the entire country to enact a code for persons with disability. The rights and benefits of PWDs are encapsulated in one ordinance. The Persons with Disability Affairs Office has also been elevated as a full-fledged department in order to give ample attention and undertake necessary interventions to promote the welfare and uplift the quality of life of PWDs. This is in addition to what we have already done of increasing the financial assistance that the city gives to the operations of Health Learning Center Foundation Incorporated. The city government of Naga is your reliable partner. Hand in hand, we will overcome the challenges that go along with your adventures towards adulthood. You can also be rest assured that we are doing our best to build a self-reliant and caring city, a maugmang lugar that is conducive for your growth and development. Just have faith and continue making the best better for yourselves, for your family, and your community. In unity, there is strength. Together, we will rise against any ordeal, stronger and more capable to chart a brighter future for our family and for our city. Diyos mabalos.
So, salamat po, Mayor, sa message. So, another message from the President of Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines, Mr. Luis Harder.
Yeah.
Sir,
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Mula sa Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines, bumabati po kami ng isang magandang umaga. At papasalamat po kami sa Health Learning Center sa City of Naga at sa Northfield for organizing this webinar. Persons with Down syndrome transitioning to adulthood. We believe na naniniwala kami na isang malaking tulong ito para sa mga taong may Down syndrome at sa kanilang mga pamilya. So please allow me to share some information about the Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines. Okay. Ang Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines will be on its 28th year na, no? At ang asosasyon ay itinatag ni Mr. Tony Pasha at ni Mr. George Wamsi noong 1991. So naniniwala tayo that their meeting was God ordained upang makapag-umpisa ang asosasyon sa mga hakbangin upang makatulong sa mga taong may Down syndrome at sa kanilang mga pamilya. Ang aming pamilya isa sa mga nag-benefit dito sa Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines at sa aming pakikipagkaibigan sa mga miyembro nito at sa mga officers. Okay, ang aming pamilya ay naging bahagi nitong Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines. Kami naging active members and unexpectedly naging officer tayo dahil sa batang ito. Itong aking anak na si Adeline Lois. Siya ngayon ay 10 taong gulang na at kung hindi dahil sa pandemic, siya ay nasa ika-4 na baitang na sa kanilang paaralan. Sa tulong ng Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines, sa ating mga kaibigan na katulad nating may anak, din na may Down syndrome, naagapan at kami natulungan upang mapalaki ng maayos si Adeline Lois at kami makapaghanda upang mabigyan siya ng magandang kinabukasan. And we are thankful to God for blessing our family with the life of Adeline Lois. She's now a happy and a cheerful child and punong-puno ng kagalakan ng aming anak at ang aming pamilya. Ang Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines is a non-stock, non-profit, volunteer-based organization founded in 1991. Ang layunin natin ay makatulong sa mga pamilya na makamove forward agad dahil alam po natin ang kanilang alam natin na kadalasan o siguro lahat ng mga pamilya na nabiyayaan ng isang anak na may Down syndrome ay nakakaranas sa umpisa ng lungkot, ng guilt and confusion, anger and things that quite hard to understand in this life. At ang layunin natin ay mabigyan sila ng pag-asa, maunawaan ang kalagayan ng bata at magkaroon ng kaalaman upang mapaghandaan at mabigyan ng magandang kinabukasan ng kanilang mga anak. At kami ay living witnesses ang aming pamilya na sa ganitong advokasya ng Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines ay maraming natutulungan ng mga pamilya upang maka-move forward agad sa kanilang kalagayan at ma-enjoy muli nila ang kanilang buhay. Ang Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines, so just to highlight, noong 2018, we have 75 activities. And year 2019, we have 93 activities. And itong year 2020, even during the pandemic, meron na kaming nagawa na 16 na activities. We're not counting hindi po natin pa binibilang dito yung mga araw na we're preparing for this activity. So just to think, there's 52 weeks in a year, and the association is really busy year in and year out. And of course, nagagampanan natin ang mga activities na ito sa tulong ng mga volunteers and of course our generous sponsors. Okay, and during this pandemic, nagkaroon tayo ng mga webinars, ano? For now, we have just concluded about the 3-day early intervention seminar through web. At meron din tayong Lenovo sponsored webinars. Marami pa pong naka-line up. So we are engaging and we are inviting the participants to look out for announcements sa aming Facebook page, sa Down Syndrome Facebook page, para ma-update kayo kung kailan yung mga susunod pang mga webinars na ating gaganapin. Itong ating ginagawa ay nagbibigay, we were able to help and about 23,000 members ng DSAP. At even during this pandemic, nabibigyan natin sila ng kasiyahan and activities to do, especially the children and their families. Alright, and ito po yung mga programa ng Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines. Ito pong Early Intervention Seminar. Ginaganap po natin ito ng 4 na beses sa loob ng 1 taon. Ang layunin po nito ay maagapan natin at maalalayan natin ang mga bagong magulang na nabiyayaan ng isang anak na may Down syndrome. Mapapansin po natin dito sa larawan, karamihan po ng mga uma-attend dito mga babies pa, mga babies pa. At alam natin na usually pagdating ng bago mag-opening ng seminar, makikita natin at bakas sa mukha ng mga magulang ang labis na pag-aalala at anxiety and looking for a brighter future. Pero pagkatapos nitong ating early intervention seminar, nakakangiti na yung ating mga magulang at nabibigyan na natin sila ng pag-asa at nakakatiyak sila na sa Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines, meron silang mga kaibigan at kapamilya at kapuso na lagi nilang maaasahan na nasa kanilang tabi upang umalalay. Other programs that we have after the early intervention seminar is moving forward. Moving forward is preparing the child with Down syndrome para sa kanyang pagpasok sa paaralan, sa kanyang pakikisalamuha sa society. Then afterwards, meron din tayong communication in Down syndrome dahil alam po natin na karamihan sa mga batang may Down syndrome may merong speech impediment at kung hindi po natin sila mabibigyan ng agapay o hindi natin sila matutulungan o hindi natin sila matuturuan, usually po nagkakaroon ng problema sa communication at nagkakaroon ng mga tantrums ng mga bata. Ang ating pong mga nakakatulong dito ay sa mga seminars na ginaganap ng Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines ay mga volunteer parents at mga professionals, geneticists, developmental pediatricians, mga speech therapists, occupational therapists, and physical therapists, Pagkatapos po ng communication in Down syndrome, meron din po tayong sexuality seminar dahil alam po natin na ang ating mga anak na may Down syndrome ay meron din pong emosyon and they also, nagkakaroon po sila ng mga crush, nagkakagusto rin sila sa kanilang sa other members ng society and minsan po nagkakaroon sila ng kalituhan na tungkol sa kanilang mga nararanasan o kanilang nararamdaman. Kaya tinutulungan natin ang kanilang mga magulang, tinuturuan natin ng mga magulang kung ano ang nararanasan ng kanilang mga anak at kung paano sila magagabayan tungkol sa transition na ito sa kanilang buhay. And of course, meron din tayong behavioral management na ito po ay naka-design para na po dun sa mga adult persons with Down syndrome. And naniniwala po tayo itong ating webinar ngayong araw na ito ay will address many of these behavioral issues that persons with Down syndrome, especially the adult ones, are encountering. And itong behavioral management, nakakatulong din po ito to prepare our persons with Down syndrome to have a gainful employment o maging maayos na bahagi ng ating lipunan. And ang Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines has been all over the Philippines, from northern Philippines to the southern Philippines, from La Trinidad to Cagayan de Oro. We have done 20 outreach programs in different areas of the Philippines. And we're looking for partners to help us, to be with us para po madala natin yung mga programa ng Down Syndrome Association sa kanilang mga lugar. Just to highlight, nagkaroon po tayo ng mga magagandang, lahat naman po ng ating mga outreach programs ay beneficial at very productive, pero worth to take note, ito pong ating ginawa sa San Fernando, Pampanga, together with the Magtoto Foundation. This is well attended at we're thankful to Magtoto Foundation for being a good partner to us. And we also have this outreach program in Malolos, Bulacan, together with Northfield. And yes, this is well attended din po at as always, many parents, even professionals, have benefited from this outreach program. And the last that we have, before the pandemic, ito pong Cagayan de Oro, no? So we are partnering with local groups from the provinces para po madala natin itong mga programa ng PISA-P sa iba't ibang lalawigan ng Pilipinas. So karamihan po ng mga nakakasalimuhan natin, nakakasama natin sa preparasyon ng mga outreach programs ay mga magulang din po. Katulad dito mga nakasama natin sa Cagayan de Oro. Hopefully, after the pandemic, mag-resume tayo uli ng mga outreach programs natin, and we're looking forward to partnering with other NGOs based in the provinces. Ano po? And again, we just want to thank our volunteers and also our sponsors for making these outreach programs and all the rest of the programs of the Down syndrome of the Philippines possible. Ito po isang magandang programa ng between Shakey's Pizza Parlor at ng Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines. Ito po ay bahagi ng corporate social responsibility ng Shakey's, and ang tinitignan po sana ng Shakey's dito at ng DSAP ay magkaroon ng 100 branches ng Shakey's kung saan nagbibigyan ng pagkakataon ng ating mga members na may Down syndrome. Usually, mapapansin niyo po sila, they're already adults na maranasan nila ang magtrabaho at makasalimuha sa society, sa lipunan, at magandang exposure po ito para sa community at sa society. Nakikita nila na ang ating mga anak, ang mga taong may Down syndrome can lead and live a productive life. So we just want to thank Shakey's for spearheading this program. Looking forward kami. Sa ngayon po siguro may mga 30 branches na ng Shakey's na merong kasamahan natin na may Down syndrome. Kaya lang na-postpone for the meantime. But looking forward after the pandemic, we will be able to reach 100 branches ng Shakey's who have persons with Down syndrome with their workforce. Ang iba pong mga kasamahan natin ay merong gainful employment, lalong-lalo na sa Unilab. Makikita po natin sa South Star na ating mga members na may Down syndrome ay fully employed. No? They work 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. So kaya nilang gawin yan. So sana mabuksan ang mga mata ng iba pang mga kumpanya na magbigay ng pagkakataon magbigay ng pagkakataon sa mga taong may Down syndrome upang maging bahagi ng kanilang kumpanya. Katulad din po ng Sofitel, part ng CSR nila, ay binigyan nila ng pagkakataon na makapagtrabaho o ma-experience ng ating mga kasamahan na may Down syndrome na magtrabaho sa isang hotel. At ganun din po, yours truly, dito po, meron po tayong kasamahan na nasa bahagi ng aking kumpanya ng Wings Technology, si Renz Alquiros. Siya po ay magdadalawang taon na sa aming kumpanya. At ang kagandahan po nitong binibigyan natin ng pagkakataon na sila'y maging bahagi ng ating kumpanya, ng ating pagtatrabaho, nakikita rin ng lipunan na ang mga batang may Down syndrome ay masayahin at kaya nilang magtrabaho, kaya they can handle responsibilities. And I am proud. I am a proud company owner na ang isa kong empleyado ay merong Down syndrome. At salamat din sa mga nagbigay ng inspirasyon. Okay, as a reminder, tuwing February po ay National Down Syndrome Consciousness Month. Ito po ay isang buwan na napaka-busy ang asosasyon under Presidential Proclamation number 157. Ito po ang pagkakataon natin sa health, sa City of Naga, sa Northfield, na we should take advantage of this because we have 1 year to promote our advocacy for persons with Down syndrome. And during February, we consider this our most busy month, the busiest month of the year for the association. Ginaganap po natin tuwing February ang Happy Walk. Unfortunately, we have to postpone it this year, but looking forward next year na magaganap po ito. Last year po sa SMX, we have about 8,000 attendees. Kasama na po yung US Ambassador and of course Mr. Henry C. And a lot of dignitaries and popular persons who had joined this our Happy Walk, no? And nagpapasalamat tayo sa SM, sa SMX, and Mall of Asia for allowing us to use their facilities. And other awareness campaigns natin tuwing February, marami po tayong mga radio and TV appearances, and we have TV guestings, and sa SM po, almost every month nagbibigay tayo ng seminar para sa mga frontliners ng SM. Para maturuan po sila, yung mga guards nila and the merchandisers on how to handle and paano po pakitunguhan at alagaan ang mga tao may Down syndrome. And we also have a healthcare program. We call this United for Down. Once a year, ginaganap po natin ito in coordination with the Unilab Foundation. Napakaganda po nitong medical program na ito dahil ito po ay one-stop shop. Iniimbitahan po natin lagi dito mga espesyalista, mga EENT, Developmental Pediatricians, Cardiologists, and Endocrinologists, and mga therapists po, nandyan po silang lahat. So, lahat po ng nakakadalo dito sa United for Down ay na-check up po yung mga bata. No? So, more or less po, nagagawa ang lahat ng check-up na dapat gawin sa isang batang may Down syndrome sa loob ng isang araw. At hindi lamang po yan, nabibigyan sila ng mga rekomendasyon, nabibigyan sila ng mga gamot, at higit sa lahat, nakakatipid po sila ng about mga 15,000 pesos na sana'y ibabayad nila if not for this United for Down healthcare program ng Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines. Watch out! We will resume this program pagka nagbalik na po at nag-normalize na po uli ang takbo ng ating society. Just wait for our announcements. And as I mentioned, ito pong Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines is volunteer-based, and we welcome volunteers so we can continue to propagate and expand the advocacies of the association. So just get in touch with our office sa Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines. We also welcome sponsors, no, para po mapagpatuloy natin ng maayos ang lahat po ng advokasya at gawain ng ating asosasyon. And ang Down Syndrome Association po ay naririto sa Mandaluyong City. Meron din po tayo sa Cebu at meron din po tayo sa Davao. Just a reminder po, no, paalala po, ang ating pong asosasyon ay pinatatakbo ng mga 3 nating regular employees at meron din po tayong office sa Mandaluyong. And kung may mga kakilala kayo sa mga probinsya, sa Cebu, sa Davao, even Cagayan de Oro, please get in touch with them. And the people there are so just willing to help and to assist persons with Down syndrome, even their families. Tumawag lang po sa 895-8895-96442 for more information about the Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines. And yun lang po, at maraming salamat. Congratulations po sa Health Learning Center sa City of Naga at sa Northfield, Philippines. And by the way, dito po pala sa Kabikulan, nakakatatlo na pong outreach program ang Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines, at nais pa po namin itong madagdagan hindi lamang po sa Kabikulan kundi sa lahat ng lalawigan ng Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po in behalf of the Down Syndrome of the Philippines. This is Luis Harder, and thank you for this opportunity to share to you all our participants and organizations. Thank you po ulit.
Okay, salamat po, Sir Luis Harder. Akala ko po message, pero sige po. Moving forward, to give us the keynote address, let us welcome the Executive Director of Northfield Foundation, Miss Maria Teresa Nuque.
Share screen. Slideshow. Honorable Mayor Nelson Ligacion, Dr. Crisostomo Lacuesta, Mr. Luis Harder, Dr. Fidelos Reyes, distinguished guests, our partners, friends, my Northfield family, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First, I would like to congratulate Health Learning Center for organizing this important conference. It is a great honor for me to deliver on behalf of Northfield Foundation the keynote address today. Ang akin pong ibabahagi sa inyo sa araw na ito ay mostly base sa karanasan ng Northfield sa pag-i-implement ng CBR or CBID for children and youth with disabilities, at also from our experience in our project empowering children, youth, adults with Down syndrome and their families with selected local partners, at doon po sa research study na aming ginawa noong 2018. Ang research po ay may title na A Study on the Philippine Situation of Persons with Down Syndrome in Selected Areas in the Philippines. According to the World Health Organization, the incidence of Down syndrome is between 1 in 1,000 to 1 to 1,000 live births worldwide. Each year, approximately 3,000 to 5,000 children are born with Down syndrome, are born with this chromosome disorder. People with Down syndrome have various medical and health conditions such as congenital heart disease, heart difficulties, intestinal abnormalities, eye problems, obesity, and thyroid dysfunction, among others. On top of this, they have little if no access at all to programs and services in relation to their rights such as health, education, and work or employment. They are also subjected to different forms of violence that trample on the right to protection and alienate them from being genuinely recognized and included in society as part of their right to participate. All of these affect the quality of their lives. The life expectancy in the Philippines in 2019 was 71.16, a 0.18 percentage increase from the previous year. However, before 1993, the life expectancy for people with Down syndrome was 25 years, but it has increased dramatically in recent decades to 60 today. People with Down syndrome can look forward to a long life if given the right medical attention. Learning about common conditions and issues that they may encounter along the years can help prepare them for a healthy future. Although people with Down syndrome may be living longer lives, there are still issues and challenges that are faced by persons with Down syndrome and their families. In the Philippines, the plight of Filipinos with Down syndrome in relation to the realization of their rights has been an elusive reality for decades. The current situation of Filipinos with Down syndrome in relation to their rights to health, education, participation, protection, work, and employment has been laden with gaps between laws and policies and actual implementation. The research study on the situation of persons with Down syndrome in selected areas in the Philippines looked into these issues. In the area of health, geographical constraints, absence of referral system, high cost of services, and absence or lack of medical specialists have been the prevailing concerns. The situation in education is not much different from health and medical concerns. Experiences on prolonged stay or overstaying in self-contained setting, being disallowed to enter daycare and self-contained and general education programs due to absence or lack of trained teachers and actual physical structures, bullying, long distances to and from school, and unavoidable school expenses are some of the difficulties faced by children and youth with Down syndrome. In addition, relevant education is still an evasive reality for most of these children, especially those living in far-flung areas. As to their participation right, there is a lack of understanding on the definition of right to participate and that people with Down syndrome are merely recipients or beneficiaries of disability-related organizations. Tokenism has been the symbol of participation among Filipinos with Down syndrome in the homes, in schools, and neighborhoods. Through their parents, some are members of disability-related organizations, but only as beneficiaries. Involvement in matters such as performing chores at home, expressing simple decisions, such as preferences for food, clothing, and family recreation, performing in school and community programs, and merely recipients of organizational benefits have been indicative of lack of proper understanding on doing genuine participation among Filipinos with Down syndrome, their family members, and the public as well. Genuine participation is involving these people from planning, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation on matters that affect them. In the area of protection, verbal abuse, public ridicule, bullying, physical violence, and sexual abuse are protection issues that people with Down syndrome encounter. Parents and caregivers maintain that their so-called acts of verbal and physical abuses have been ways of disciplining family members with Down syndrome. Work and employment issues include unclear transition programs in self-contained settings, unknown transition programs from school to work, especially in far-flung areas, and absence of work skills, assessment, and training program for young adults with Down syndrome. For some adults, the realities in terms of work and employment have been vague and bleak. Some public schools have vocational training and transition programs to prepare students with Down syndrome for possible employment, but these programs are not clear. These programs need to be thoroughly assessed and enhanced. It must equip students with the necessary attitude, knowledge, and skills to be for work and employment. Individuals will be accepted on the basis of their qualifications and not on the generosity and pity of the employers. These challenges may have been worsened by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Norfield, together with its local partner organizations, are continuously trying to rise above the situation to continue to reach children with disabilities, including Down syndrome, during these times. Webinars for parents and professionals are organized. Home management programs, mentoring, and consultation are continuously implemented by CBR workers with the guidance of specialist teachers, medical, and allied professionals through online programs. We are also exploring the possibility of conducting online developmental assessment with a developmental pediatrician and skills assessment for employment with a job coach. We are all trying to adapt to this new normal while constantly progressing through different stages of lives. These changes or transitions often come with the mixed feelings of excitement and anxiety. For parents of children and youth with Down syndrome, it is important to plan for adulthood or independence when the child is about to enter their teenage years. Taking the time to prepare and plan is the best way to manage the anxiety brought about by the uncertainties of life in transition. Remember that this journey of transition is a series of steps, not a single act. In your journey, parents may consider this. Address your child's health concerns first. Down syndrome is associated with different levels of intellectual disability and multiple concerns. Connect with relevant agencies, doctors, and allied medical professionals who will be part of you or your child's life. Learn as much as you can in advance. Topics that can help you and your child prepare for your transition. Attending this virtual conference and other capability building activities available would be very helpful. Explore and identify available resources for you and your child. This may include needed help for therapies, education and employment, or livelihood opportunities for the future. This is very important. That is why Norfield is in the process of developing a directory of resources for persons with disability. Take the opportunity while you are in your own home together to encourage your son and daughter with Down syndrome to learn to do things independently as much as possible. As I have shared earlier, there are still so many challenges to face in building an inclusive society for individuals with Down syndrome to live and grow in. But parents should remember that you are not alone in your journey. The family support groups like DESAPE, government agencies, and civil society organizations like Help Learning Center, Norfield, and our other partners collaborate and work to prepare individuals with Down syndrome towards adulthood and independence and be able to participate in their community to their fullest capacity. Thank you very much for your kind attention and I wish this conference great success. Maraming salamat at magandang umaga sa lahat.
Okay, salamat po, Ma'am Nuke. For the overview of today's activity, let us welcome the Executive Director of Health Learning Center, Dr. Fed de los Reyes.
Hello. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat sa mga nagsalita mula pa kanina at nakakatuwa naman na mas marami pa tayo na kikitang mga possibility na magagawa at mga possibility na makapag-ugnayan para mas marami pa tayo in the future na maging activities para sa mga batang may Down syndrome. Binibigyan tayo ng insight sa maaari nating magawa during and after the pandemic. Sa umagang ito, meron tayong medyo mahaba, umaga hanggang hapon. Ang buong umaga ay ibibigay natin isang lecture ni Dr. Alexis Reyes, kilala na siya ng lahat, international and national, at bibigyan niya tayo ng isang malawak na larawan ng mga maaaring problema at maaaring maging accomplishment o maaaring marating ng mga batang may Down syndrome mula sa pagkamaliit hanggang sa paglaki, hanggang sila ay mangarap at tumanda at na maging katulad natin na mga tao na may sariling pangarap at may sariling gustong mangyari. So, pagkatapos ni Dr. Alexis Reyes ay makikipag-usap naman tayo sa isang batang may Down syndrome. Mag-share siya ng kanyang experiensya at makikita natin ano talaga ang maaaring potential ng isang batang may Down syndrome, pati na ano ang potential ng mga anak natin mayroong ganitong kapansanan. Pagkatapos nan ay ngayong umaga pa rin si Mr. Hercules Paradyang na Country Director ng Cbm ay mag-share ng kanyang experiences din sa pagpapalaki ng kanyang anak na may Down syndrome. Pinili din namin si Mr. Paradyang para mag-share ng kanyang experience dahil siya ay country director ng CBM at in the future, I'm sure, partner natin talaga rin ang CBM sa pagpapalaganap ng kaalaman at mga maaaring maibigay nating opportunities para sa mga batang lumalaki na may Down syndrome. Sa hapon, medyo mahaba din. Meron tayong tatlong napakagagaling na speakers. Ang unang speaker natin sa hapon, Dr. Sylvia Estrada, Chief Division of Pediatric Endocrinology and Metabolism at UP-PGH. Ang kanyang topic ay Endocrine Health in Down Syndrome. Pinapanganak pa lang ang batang may Down syndrome, kasama na niya ang endocrine problem hanggang lumaki. So, bibigyan tayo ng kaalaman ni Dr. Estrada kung paano natin ma-maintain healthy ang batang may Down syndrome. And then, pagkatapos niya, si Dr. Emma Lianto, ibabahagi ang kanyang eksperyensya sa mga lumalaking teenager na mga may kapansanan na Down syndrome. Ako rin, may anak na 34 years old na may Down syndrome at meron silang ibang tinatahak na landas na maaaring matulungan tayo ni Dr. Lianto upang mas malawak ang ating pagtingin at mas marami tayong resources na maibigay sa kanila. At ang pangatlong speaker natin ay si Professor Abelardo Apollo David Jr. Meron siyang programang Independent Living Learning Center sa Mandaluyong City. Importante ang konsepto ng independent living sa ating mga batang may Down syndrome. Nakikita kong hindi kaagad ito nag-grasp ng magulang, lalo na kung medyo mababa ang kakayahan ng batang may Down syndrome katulad ng anak ko. Paano ko ba iisipin na magkakamera siya independent living? Pero may kanya-kanyang kakayahan ng bata at ituturo sa atin yan ni Professor Abelardo Apollo David Jr. So, dahil ang mga speakers natin ay very busy, in-encourage natin ang question and answer nyo ay ibigay na natin after each lecture. Maaaring wala na sila doon sa 4 to 5 na inilaan natin sa question and answer. And kung sino na lang po ang nandyan at maaaring tayo magtanungan tayo sa isa't isa kung ano ang kailangan nating malaman. So, yan po ang ating kabuuan ngayong araw na ito. Sana po ay mag-enjoy tayo at matuto ng gusto nating malaman at magpasalamat tayo sa Diyos sa mga oportunidad na ito at sa mga binigay sa ating panahon ng mga experts na inimbitan natin dahil alam ko po na sila ang the best sa buong country, sa buong Pilipinas. Marami pong salamat.
Okay, salamat po, Dr. Rafe. So our next speaker is a developmental pediatrician who has worked with children and adolescents with developmental disabilities, both in preventive and rehabilitative care. She obtained her training from the Children's Hospital in Birmingham, United Kingdom, and was a research fellow at the Institute of Child Health of the University of Birmingham. She is currently the president of the International Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics Association, also an associate professor of the Pediatrics and division head of Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics at the University of the Philippines College of Medicine. She is also a technical advisor of the Norville Foundation, which is a nonprofit and non-government social welfare organization that cares for the rehabilitation of children who are neglected, abandoned, and those with disabilities through family-focused and community-based program. Without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Alexis Reyes.
Can you hear me? Is the audio all right?
Yes, it is, Alexis.
Magandang umaga. Marhay na aga sa Indong Gabos. My claim to fame in Naga City is the fact that I am Bicolano as well. My father was born in Naga City, and my grandparents, all my relatives who I don't really know too well are there, and I have not visited Naga for quite some time, but I cannot say no to Dr. Alexis Reyes, who has been my partner and collaborator in Down syndrome since I came back from training. And I would like to also make mention of Dr. Linda Bacalianque of Iloilo City, who I hope has been given this connection so that she can also participate in the discussion. These were two of the very important and very, I would say, critical people who actually started the programs in their own cities and provinces on disability, not just Down syndrome, but on disability. So the only disclosure that I will make is the fact that I am a technical advisor, a medical advisor of Norville Foundation. And for that, I am grateful because this allows me actually to give you an opportunity, and also myself an opportunity to work in the community, which is something that I have already planned for, given the fact that I hope to retire soon, not in practice, but rather in teaching in the medical school. So my goal and role for this morning is to talk about healthy aging in Down syndrome. Perhaps when I started talking about Down syndrome many years back, I would not have had the courage to talk about this topic. And primarily because there are certain aspects which I feel that many of the families in the Philippines are not yet ready to accept. In fact, just talking about early intervention is already a concern, as mentioned by Mr. Harder this early today. I think that moving on, and this is a journey really, a journey into finishing or at least completing their lifespan, moving on in that direction is something that they cannot even fathom. And I would like to believe that it is a good opportunity now to look at how they are going to put themselves in the future or place themselves in the future. What will be their role in the community, and how will they actually age healthy and in perhaps good form in the future. And this is really the role or the goal of this particular discussion. So my objectives are, I will just introduce a bit Down syndrome, which was beautifully done actually by the previous speakers and by our keynote address. And I will just emphasize a bit about aging in Down syndrome and new information about this. I will talk about common medical conditions that need to be addressed, which are sadly not looked into, especially when they reach a certain age. Sa aking palagay po, pagkatapos ng early intervention, ano yung susunod? Kaya po nagpursige kami at natuwa naman ako na tinanggap nila tong oportunidad na to na gawa ng isang webinar ang pagtanda o wag naman pagtanda siguro, mas magandang term yung aging talaga, ng mga individual na may Down syndrome. Ano po yung kanilang emotional and psychiatric well-being? This is something that we also do not look into. And finally, something that we don't really talk about is the relationship of Down syndrome to Alzheimer's disease. I will, at the end, talk about, which was not part of my discussion, talk a little about how Down syndrome individuals cope in the pandemic. Dito tayo nag-uumpisa, lalo na sa amin, mga pediatricians, lalo na yung mga nung unang panahon, pag sinabi ko unang panahon, yung pagdating ko galing sa aking pag-aaral sa ibang bansa, syempre binibigyan ka ng mga referrals galing sa mga pediatricians sa isang bata o isang baby na sa palagay nila ay may Down syndrome. Nung araw po, para lang magkaroon tayo ng perspective, nung araw nagkaroon nga ng ng hotline para sa Down syndrome. Pero hindi ko lang alam kung meron pa yun ngayon sapagkat hindi na po ako masyadong involved sa DSAPI. Pero ito po ang una naming pagkakilala sa mga batang ito. So, as soon as they are born, either we are called or now the geneticist is called. So for the geneticist, it is actually an emergency to see them because it is so important to give a diagnosis or at least put the family in a situation wherein they look forward and they do not mourn alone in their hospital room. And that is the saddest thing that can happen. When you are told about your diagnosis or the diagnosis of your son in the corridor of a hospital, that is really bad. And that's one of the reasons why I was part of the first of the founding members of the DSAPI, because this was an opportunity to really dispel all the myths. Yung mga pinag-iisipan ng mga magulang noon, parang nakakasama sa mga doktor, sa mga nurses, sapagkat totoo naman, marami silang sinasabi na hindi naman dapat sabihin sa harap ng mga magulang. And doon, kaming dalawa po ni Dr. Padilla ay, at saka doon sa mga magulang na kasama namin nung umpisa, ay nagkaroon ng paraan para umpisahan ang Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines nga. So I hope that things have changed over time. And I think that the research that was done can tell us very much about what is happening as they grow older. Kasi may paraan, may panahon ang early intervention, pero may panahon din mag-move on. Mag-move on hanggat tumanda sila, pumasok sila sa eskwela, at saka sila ay magtrabaho. Kung ikaw ay isang magulang na may Down syndrome na anak, ito po ang isang checklist na haharap sa inyo. Ang marami, hindi masyado nilang naaalala to, pero kung natatandaan ko at kung nandito sila sa webinar na to, gumawa po kami ng baby book noon na meron itong listahan. Listahan para sa Pilipinas. Dito po, nakikita nyo, this is a 2020 Down syndrome schedule of health checks. In the Philippines, we can't do it as frequently as they do it abroad. Pero sa atin, meron din po tayong ganitong ginawa. Kasi naalala natin na yung sinabi ni Ms. Tesnuki na marami silang medical problems. Among the developmental disabilities, Down syndrome, as the most common chromosomal disorder, also has the most number of systemic problems or most number of medical conditions. Halos lahat ng parte ng katawan apektado. Pero ano ba dapat ang ating pagtuunan ng pansin? So we have thyroid tests, which are important. Now we have the newborn screening, which includes that, but it is not totally, and I am going to refer you to Dr. Estrada later on, who will actually talk about endocrine issues in Down syndrome. Meron din pong mga importanteng pagtingin sa puso. Ito yung siguro because 60% of children or babies with Down syndrome actually will have a cardiac defect. Noong araw, matagal na, ito yung rason kung bakit ang mga batang ito ay hindi nabubuhay ng matagal. Sapagkat hindi naaagapan ang kanilang sakit sa puso. Pero ngayon, may paraan na at marami na po ang handang gumawa ng mga operasyon. Ito lang syndrome actually will have a cardiac defect. Ito po ang hindi nagagawa ng marami. Matagal na lang sila, ito yung hindi na nila kaya. Pero ngayon po, saka kagandahang loob ng ibang tao, many children are saved. Many children with heart conditions are actually saved. So by this period, if you have no cardiac defect, pag sinabi ng doktor, yung pediatric cardiologist, wala ho siyang cardiac defect, then lalo na kung very reliable and very accurate yung cardiologist nyo, hindi na po kayo magpapatingin hanggat siguro mag-follow up kayo ng 1 taon, 2 taon kung sabihin niya. Pero sa mga ganitong mga bata, napakaswerte nila. Pero 50% to 60% nga mas marami ang merong kondisyon. Pero hindi naman lahat ng kondisyon kailangan operahan. So ito pong dalawang to ang pinakamahalaga kung tutuusin natin. Meron din po mga surgical problems. Yung mga iba po pumapasok sa aming emergency room dahil wala hong butas ang puwet. Okay, so in the Philippines, that is the more common condition. Okay, compared to what you see in the United States and in other parts of the world where it is the duodenal atresia that is the problem. Okay, so may pagkakaiba din ang mga kondisyon na to sa ating sitwasyon o sa ating bansa. Okay, so ang eye check and hearing check are also important. Ang maganda ngayon po, bago pa uwiin mula sa ospital, lalo na sa mga malalaking ospital, sana po sa lahat ng ospital, pag pinauwi sila, sana matingnan ang kanilang mata at ang kanilang tenga, ang pandinig nila. Growth monitoring is very important and developmental assessments are necessary. Mga iba po ay hindi na ho namin nakikita. Sana po, yung marami na po kami and sana pagkatapos ng exam namin na gagawin this year, mas marami pa po kami. Aabot na po siguro kami ng mga 70, 75 kung pumasa ho silang lahat. So there are more developmental pediatricians that you can tap for evaluation and assessment. Okay. Parati ko pong binibigyan kung ako po ay nakakita o na-refera ng isang maliit pang bata or an infant for that matter. Parati ko silang binibigyan ng healthcare guidelines. May mga iba po talaga na binabasa yon, pero medyo makapal, kaya minsan ang hirap basahin. Ano ba talaga ang importante? Bakit ginawa ang healthcare guidelines? Sapagkat sa bawat bisita ng bata, dapat tini-check na natin kung ano yung mga problema na pwedeng mangyari sa kanila. For instance, nabanggit ko po yung thyroid, nabanggit ko rin po yung cardiac. So all of these are checked. So you have some healthcare supervision across the years. So habang tumatanda yung bata, dapat hindi natin tigilan ang pagpapatingin. Minsan po kasi pag natapos na po yung mga pagbabakuna at sa palagay nila okay naman yung bata at saka nakapasok naman ng eskwela, tapos na. Hindi po. Doon pa lang mag-uumpisa yung mas maraming problema. Hindi ko tinatakot ang mga magulang, pero sinasabihan ko lang na napakarami po. Pag tingnan niyo po yung listahan sa adults, mas marami pa nga ang listahan. Sapagat habang tumatanda sila, katulad natin, nagkakaroon sila ng mga problema dahil sa aging o sa ating pagtanda. So kung wala silang congenital heart problem, pwede ho sila magkaroon ng acquired heart problem. Pwede ho sila magka-hypertension, pwede ho sila magkasakit sa puso. Katulad ng bawat isa sa atin. Ngayon, ang tanong ng marami, lalo na sa pag nag-uumpisa, ito po ay pinag-usapan na namin at saka matagal na ho namin naging siguro diskusyon. Kanino ka ba magpapatingin? Okay, so kung ang pediatrician nyo ay buong loob at saka magiging magaling mag-collaborate sa amin, then certainly you should go to your pediatrician. Okay? Kung family physician, okay din pag gusto nilang makipag-usap at malaman kung ano yung mga dapat tingnan. Ngayon, ang pinaka-importante dito, at kaya nagustuhan ko po ito, kahit na hindi niyo nabasahin, pero may kopya naman po kayo pagkatapos ng webinar na to, ay dapat po yung doktor na mapipili nyo ay yung doktor na makakausap ninyo. Hindi yung doktor na titingnan lang kayo ng 15 minutos, pauwi na kayo. Napakadami nilang problema, hindi ba? So pupunta kayo sa endocrinologist, pupunta kayo sa cardiologist, pupunta kayo sa andaming doktor. Okay. So ang doktor na magmamando ng lahat ng ito, yun ang pinaka-importante. Now, whether that will be your pediatrician, that will be your geneticist, that will be a developmental pediatrician who's willing to do your medical checks, then that is the person. Ito po yung sinabi dito. We need to look for someone who will collaborate, who is open to listening to you as parents and seeing you as partners. Hindi yung ako ang may alam ng lahat at kayo po ay magulang lang. Hindi pwede yon. Kasi mas marami pang alam ang mga magulang minsan dun sa mga doktor. Pag sinabi niyo, pero doktor, hindi ba ang mga batang ito nagkakaroon po ng ganitong problema? Pag sinabi ng doktor mo, hindi ko alam, pero basta bakunahan na lang natin. Siguro maghanap-hanap na ho tayo ng iba pang doktor. Okay. And I like the last sentence here, but I will tell you that the most effective thing is for parents to be the educator of the physician. Hindi po kami nagmamagaling at hindi naman po kayo nagmamagaling din. Ang gusto po ninyo ay pag-aralan mabuti ang kondisyon ng anak ninyo. At kung tayo ay mag-usap at bigyan nyo kami ng impormasyon, then siguro mas malaki ang maitutulong natin sa isa't isa. This is the healthcare information for children who are 13 to 21 years or older. This is part of the healthcare supervision, which has been recognized and identified by the American Academy of Pediatrics, as you can see here from at the bottom of the page, as very important. So nagbago na rin po. I think the last one, the newest one, was actually published already, and it's important to note here that sila po ay dadaan pa rin sa pagbibisita sa doktor. Dapat ang kanilang paglaki ay minomonitor, ang mga bakuna nila ay sinicheck, ang kanilang puso, pandinig, ang kanilang vision, ang thyroid po nila, at saka mga ibang kondisyon na nakikita lang po sa pagkukuha ng dugo, katulad ng anemia, at saka yung mga problems in their gut, as well as neck instability. Medyo marami pa po ito, pero pinasok ko na lang po sa isang slide ang mga nakikita ko po na mahalagang kondisyon. So, as you can see here, you navigate the transition to adulthood. Ito po ang mahalagang sasabihin mamaya ni Dr. Emma Lianto. Wag na ho kayo mag-notes kasi kung kayo ay marunong mag-download, lahat halos ng sasabihin ko po sa mga susunod na minuto ay nandito sa isang napakagandang health and well-being guidebook na ginawa po ng National Down Syndrome Society of the United States. Napakaganda po nito. At nakikita po ninyo ang kanilang experience talaga sa mga tumatandang mga individual na may Down syndrome. Looking ahead, I think that you are right, Ms. Nuki, Tess, that yes, people with Down syndrome are living longer than before. Nung mga 29 years ago, which was the time that Down Syndrome Association was actually established, it will be 30 years next year in February. Noon, sinasabi nila, alam niyo po, doktora, meron kasi po kami mga member nung original group na mas matanda na, hindi na po mga babies. Ang babies lang doon, yung anak ni Tony Pasha at yung anak ni Jerry Walmsley. Okay, mga 2-week-old to 1-month-old na nagkita sila sa labas ng klinik ko at sila ay nag-usap at naging matalik na magkaibigan at pati na rin ang kanilang pamilya. Okay, so that was how the Down Syndrome Association actually began. Noon, sinasabi sa kanila na marami nagsasabi noon na galit nga yung nanay na yung anak niya yung mas matanda na. Sapagkat sinabihan siya na, mahalin mo na lang yan at saka kasi madali naman ang buhay, maiksi lang naman ang buhay nila. Hindi na totoo yan. At sinasabi ko na, learning about common conditions and issues encountered in adulthood can really prepare for a healthy future. And this is the good news. Ngayon, nabanggit kanina ni Ma'am Tess na about 50, 60 years old, magugulat tayo na ang projection nila sa iba't ibang bansa at iba't ibang parte ng mundo ay mas mataas pa dyan. Aabot sila ng mga 70 and in the United States, pwede pang umabot ng 80. This includes actually countries that are low and middle income like Africa, for instance, which already has, if they project it up to 2050, aabot sila ng 70. Okay, bakit sila tumatanda at bakit gumaganda ang life expectancy ng mga bata, ng mga individual na may Down syndrome? Now, ang aging ng Down syndrome, sabi nila, ay accelerated. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Maganda ba yun o hindi? So, the importance of this is that parang mabilis silang tumanda. Okay? But the reason is not well understood. Ano ba talaga ang ibig sabihin ng accelerated aging? And this is important because it is connected to the chromosome itself. Chromosome 21, that extra chromosome that makes that diagnosis confirmed. So, ang sabi nila sa mga individual na mga 40, 50 na anyos, ay nakikita mo na ang accelerated aging, parang mas mabilis silang tumanda nga. And they experience certain conditions that are more commonly seen in the elderly. Okay. So naghanap po ako ng research tungkol dito. Ito po yung nahanap ko, na 2018, published in December. Dito po sinabi nila that although the life expectancy of Down syndrome has increased dramatically from 12 years to 60 years in 2004 and further increase in the near future, it is not paralleled. Hindi po pinapantayan ng increased health span. And Down syndrome individuals face unhealthy aging, sadly, because of many comorbidities. Okay. And itong ibig sabihin ng rason, itong rason kung bakit minsan nakikita natin sila parang bata pa, tapos bigla na lang parang tumanda na kaagad. Okay. So, they move directly from pediatrics to geriatrics. And that's also something that I would like to make mention of because as a pediatrician, sino po ang tatanggap sa kanila? Kunyari, hinawakan ka ng isang doktor na pediatrician, paano pag tumanda ka na? Sino po ang pupuntahan ninyo? Family physician, okay lang po yan kasi tumitingin sila hanggang tumatanda o ang mas matanda na individual. Pero kami po, ang dapat po namin tingnan ay hanggang sa edad na 18 bago mag-19. Okay? Pero sa nakararami na rin sa amin, pag ito ay nagkaroon ka na ng puhunan sa pag-uumpisa dito sa batang to, tutuloy-tuloyin mo na. Kasi yung mga pasyente ko po, na naging pasyente ko noong araw, ay pasyente ko pa rin. At hindi po sila, hanggat makahanap po ako ng kapalit, ay sila po ay magiging pasyente ko. Okay, so, ang Down syndrome po ay, ang sinasabi din po ay maraming mga points na mahalaga na banggitin. Ang Down syndrome ay the most common genetic cause of intellectual disability. Nabanggit ko na yung kanina. And it appears that, as mentioned again, it is characterized by accelerated aging. But the one thing that is very important to note is that hindi sila, may mga bata na pag tumanda ay nagkakaroon ng Alzheimer's. Ngayon, pag-usapan natin yan ng mas mahaba mamayang kaunti. So, mahalaga po na meron tayong social inclusion, nabanggit po yan kanina doon sa pag-aaral at saka sa pagtatrabaho and cognitive training programs para po tumagal ang kanilang kagandahan ng pag-iisip hanggat tumanda sila. Wala pa pong mga treatment options. Kunyari, pagpapainumin mo sila ng gamot, wala pa po yun. Okay, ano ba yung mga common medical conditions na kailangan natin bantayan? Isa sa mga common medical conditions na napakadaling tingnan ay ang kanilang sensory concerns, which should include your vision and your hearing. So vision, they're at risk for early cataracts and keratoconus. Yung keratoconus po yung parang yung dulo po ng cornea nyo, parang tumitigas at gumagaspang. Ito po ay magkakaproblema dahil hindi na sila masyado nakakita ng gusto. They will have blurring and impaired vision. Okay, so dapat po magpatingin ng madalas dun sa doktor, maski once a year man lang ma-assess yung mga batang may Down syndrome habang tumatanda sila. Ano pang iba? Yung tenga, hindi lang ang tenga, kung hindi ang pandinig. Okay? Marami sa mga individual na may Down syndrome ay mataas ang kanilang risk for hearing loss kasi maiksi po yung kanyang tubo at diretso kaya nagkakaroon ng earwax, nagkakaroon ng nai-impair yung kanyang hearing. Okay? And that's only conductive, ibig sabihin tanggalin mo yung earwax, mas makakadinig sila ng mas mabuti. Pero pag pinag-uusapan na natin yung sensory neural, iba po yun sapagkat yung mismong ugat ang may problema. So, minsan, pag tumatanda, katulad ng mga tumatanda, di ba, minsan hindi na sila nakakadinig ng mabuti. So, hindi mo alam kung matigas lang ang ulo, tumitigas ang ulo, o talaga hindi niya siya nakakarinig. So, yan ang dapat natin sigurong pagbigyan ng pansin. Okay, so take-home points, screen for vision and hearing, check for earwax impactions, and request for audiology testing. Okay, so that's one. The other one, I will not dwell on this too much because I think Dr. Estrada will do this very well this afternoon. And please listen to her. She's a great speaker. The thyroid gland, as you know, is involved with a lot of metabolic processing. And napakahalaga nito. Dapat ma-check natin ang thyroid function. Parating sinasabi ko sa mga pasyente ko na, mami, nagpatingin na po ba kayo sa endocrinologist? Doktora kasi, sige, gagawa ko po kayo ng request pero puntahan po ang endocrinologist kaagad pag nakuha niyo yung resulta. Hindi naman po madalas yung pinatitingnan ang batang to. At least periodically ma-check para malaman natin kung mababa ang thyroid hormone niya o mataas ang thyroid hormone. Pwede rin po kasing mataas, lalo na sa mga pumapayat, na hindi nakakatulog, na sobrang lakas kumain, na parang naaaligaga, yung parang ganon, agitated. So, could be hyperthyroidism. So, you have to check whether this hypo or hyperthyroidism. So, this is important because there are problems that can happen because of this. Okay. The other one is obstructive sleep apnea. Parati ko rin tinatanong doon sa mga pasyente, lalo na pag malaki na, ano po ba yan, nag-i-snore? Siyempre, hindi naman ho lahat nag-i-snore, may apnea, may sleep apnea. Pwede ho natin siya i-check. Lalo na pag may nagsusnore, tapos nagagasp. Okay? Tapos parati antok sa umaga. Ay, kasi puyat na puyat siya sa gabi. At saka parating pagod, sa pagising. Kasi nga, hindi siya nakatulog ng husto. So, ang take-home points dito, it is something that is common, can go undetected, and you have to monitor the sleep patterns and discuss with your primary doctor if a sleep study is necessary. Lahat halos po ng ospital, meron na pong mga sleep study. So, may mga laboratories na sila for this, and you can actually arrange for one if you think that your child or your adult with Down syndrome has it. Okay. So, managing the medical history. Minsan po kasi, hindi ko po alam kung bakit nakakaligtaan na natin silang tingnan. Pwede kong ikwento sa inyo ang isang storya ng isang ni-refer sa akin galing sa hospital na private hospital. Hindi ko na po babanggitin sapagkat baka makilala. So, 35 years old na po at saka tinawag ako, sabi niya, Doktora, may pasyente po kayo dito sa ER. Sabi ko, may pasyente ako sa emergency room. Sabi ko, I don't have patients in the emergency room. Pagbaba ko, meron 35-year-old na hindi ko talaga pasyente pero may Down syndrome. So, nakakalungkot man sabihin, pero ang naalala nila ako, dahil alam nila I have a lot of individuals or I work with the community of the disabled. So sabi nila siguro bahala na si Doktora dyan. Okay, and he was in congestive heart failure. Halos mamatay na siya doon sa emergency room. Walang gustong tumingin sa kanya. So sabi niya, Doktor, ano gagawin natin? Sabi ko, wala naman hong pera to. Sabi ko, wow. Ngayon, bawal na po ang tumanggi sa pasyente sa ospital. So, inilipat ko po siya sa ibang ospital na doon ay ipinasok siya kaagad sa ICU at sa aking katuwaan, nailipat ko at nabigay ko po sa isang cardiologist na maluwag na tinanggap niya at ginamot niya itong pasyenteng ito. Pero nakakalungkot kasi wala na po silang mga doktor at this time. So, nagkaroon na pala ng hypertension, nagkaroon na pala ng maraming problema, medyo malaki po yung individual. So, hindi po natin alam kung paano siya umabot ng ganito, pero ang aking alam ay mukhang nakaligtaan ang kanyang medical history. Okay. So, maliban po doon, yung mga gamot na iniinom. Kunyari, yung mga thyroid hormone. Minsan, pag tumatanda ka, syempre, tumataas din ang dose. So, dapat po magpatingin. Hindi yung pwedeng gamitin yung napakagula-gulanit na pong prescription na ginagamit pa ninyo hanggang ngayon. Bawal na rin po yan ngayon. Okay, yearly health checks at least once a year to have a health check. You can choose your general practitioner, whether it's a general practitioner, kung makipag-usap kayo sa pediatrician niya, kung gusto pa siyang kunin, bakit hindi? Basta kailangan lang siyang matingnan. Sapagkat kailangan mabigyan siya ng sapat na impormasyon tungkol sa diet. For instance, many of them, as they grow older, are getting obese. Okay, hindi na po overweight, obese. Sinasamahan pa yan ng mga kondisyon katulad ng diabetes, ng sakit sa puso, sakit sa kasukasuan, yung paghinga, hindi na sila makahinga. At naku, ang pinaka-nakakalungkot, nalulungkot sila. Nasasabihin mo, hindi na bale, Down syndrome niya hindi naman siguro sila nakakaramdam ng depression. Sa palagay ko, maling sentence yun, sapagkat lahat po tayo ay nakakaramdam ng depression. Lalo na sa panahon na to. Itong panahon ng COVID, lalong lalabas po ito. Okay? And they are less active. So you have to make sure that they also have an active and fit lifestyle. They should have exercise. Now, exercise not only begins with the individual, begins also with the family. Kung lahat naman ng tao sa pamilya ay ganun din kalaki, ay di bakit pa siya kukopya? Anong kukopyahin niya? Kukopyahin niya rin yung paglaki ng pamilya niya. So regular exercise is very important. And I must admit that it was only during the pandemic that I had regular exercise. And that's something that I was very, very grateful for. And there are the silver lining in this particular situation. Okay. So, choose what kind of exercise at hindi lang yung bugso-bugso. Ay, nag-gym naman yan eh. Anong ginagawa niya sa gym? Nakaupo. Okay. So, dapat po natin pag-aralang mabuti kung ano magandang sport para sa kanya. Gusto niya ng golf. Gusto niya ng sayaw. Mamaya pag-usapan natin ng COVID in a separate session. Okay. Looking after your health is very important. Some people with Down syndrome are very, very happy when they are healthy. Kasi para nakikita mo, nag-enjoy din sila pag may nakikita sila, lalo na magagaling sila sumayaw. So, ito po, gamitin na natin itong pagkakataon na to habang tumatanda at sila ay turuan magsayaw o turuan ng iba pang mga bagay na makakatulong sa kanilang kondisyon. There are some health conditions that are more likely to happen in individuals with Down syndrome, and that these conditions you will see as they age. Okay, marami pang kondisyon. Ito po ay napaka-importanting ilista natin at tandaan natin. Okay. Mapunta naman tayo sa emotional and psychiatric well-being. Now, adults with Down syndrome who reach the ages that we are probably in, like 50, 60, 70s, I'm not embarrassed to say, I'm very proud to say I'm a senior citizen having reached this particular, this far, 30 years ago. That was something that I probably would have decided not to say, but now you're happy to say this because you know that this is a protected age group. While there are so many milestones that are very exciting as we grow older, marami pong challenges, lalo na pag ang pamilya ng may Down syndrome ay tumatanda rin. So, handa rin po kaya itong mga pamilyang ito, yung mga nag-aalaga sa kanila, kasi pati sila tumatanda na. So, mas malakas pa kaya sila, ganun pa rin ba ang kanilang kakayahan para tulungan itong batang ito? It is important that we are all proactive. Okay. Now, emotional and psychiatric well-being, minsan po, dahil nga may Down syndrome, baka iba ang presentation ng psychiatric illness. Okay? Paano ibig sabihin nun? Dapat sensitive tayo kasi sometimes the mood, pag nagbago lang ang mood nila, ito po baka senyales na po ito na pwede pong meron siyang isang nararamdaman, may mental health issue siya. Or ayaw na niyang kumain, na marami namang pagkain, dati-rati masaya naman siya. Lalo na itong panahon ng pandemic, marami po akong nakita mga batang nagkaroon ng mga problema ganito. So, pay attention to any change in the house. Like for instance, namatay ang magulang, umalis yung yaya niya ng napakatagal na, nagkaroon ng away doon sa kanyang pinagtatrabahuhan. So these are the conditions that actually will be creating an impact on these individuals as they grow older. Parang tayo, ganun din ang atin. Pero sa kanila, very sensitive sila. Parang nagmamagnify yung effect na to. Okay. So, ang take-home points dito, pwede silang magkaroon ng depression, pwede silang magkaroon ng anxiety katulad natin. Bantayan natin ang kanilang pagbabago sa mood at ang mga pagbabago sa mood, behavior, at hanapan na natin sila ng doktor. Marami pong doktor, psychiatrist na tumatanggap sa mga batang to, sa mga tumatandang mga individual na to. And don't overlook any new issues that may contribute to these changes. Okay. Minsan kasi pag nakikita nila sa salamin na parang minsan may pasyente po ako na sabi, Mami, parang hindi na po ako masyadong maganda, parang tumataba ako at saka hindi na kasya yung mga damit ko. Naku, very sensitive siya sa kanyang physical and image. Okay, so pay attention to those. So a thoughtful approach as we go into a discussion of something very, very heavy. A thoughtful approach is that they are at risk. Hindi po natin sinasabi na lahat po sila ay magkaka-Alzheimer's. Okay? Pero pwede po. Kaya dapat po natin isipin na habang tumatagal, siguro po habang tumatanda yung inyong anak, i-check natin mabuti o bantayan natin kung ito nga ay Alzheimer's o ito ay dementia laang. Okay? May pagkakaiba yung dalawa. An introduction to Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is a very, very severe type of dementia. Ang dementia kasi yung syempre yung tumatanda lang at saka nakakalimot, paminsan-minsan, pero bumabalik ka pa rin, natatandaan mo, pagbigyan ka ng paraan. Pero Alzheimer's hindi, it's very progressive. Pag nakalimutan ka, talaga makakalimutan mo na. At saka ang maunang makakalimutan mo yung nangyari ng yung kanina lang, kahapon lang. Yung matagal na, hindi mo nakakalimutan. Stock knowledge na yun, that's stored information, that's stored memory. Hindi mo nakakalimutan yun, nandoon yun. Pero yung pag-progress po nila ay hanggat yung panahon na hindi na talaga nila maalala minsan activities of daily living. Mag-toothbrush. Yun po ang ano ng Alzheimer's. Yun po ang kinahinatnan. Nakakalungkot man pag-usapan, pero napakahalaga sapagkat ito po ay nangyayari sa mga ibang mga pasyenteng may Down syndrome. Nagtanong po ako sa memory center ng aming hospital. Tinanong ko po kung meron silang inaalagaan may Down syndrome at mayroong Alzheimer's. Nagulat ako na wala. Sabi ko, baka hindi sila napipick up or baka hindi sila nagpapatingin. Pero sa ibang bansa, mataas ang kanilang percentage. Okay. Anong connection ba ng Alzheimer's sa Down syndrome? Okay. Ang connection ay yung mismong chromosome 21. Kasi ito po yung nagkikarry ng gene na nagpo-produce din ng isa sa mga proteins na nagbabago sa utak ng mga may Alzheimer's. Marami pong mga pamilya ng may Alzheimer's ay nagpapasalamat doon sa mga pamilya ng may Down syndrome na pumapayag pong magpa-autopsiya. Kasi sa may mga anak na maliliit, ito po ay hindi po niyo gustong pakinggan. Pero sa aking pong palagay, dapat siguro nasa ano na natin yan, nasa future planning na natin. Okay, so na binibigay po nila sa siyensya para malaman kung ano ang connection ng dalawa. So, early clinical signs and symptoms are usually observed at the end of the 5th decade or at the beginning of the 6th decade. Kaya pag may mga pasyente kami nagpapatingin sa amin ng mga 30, 40, parang hindi ka sigurado kung Alzheimer's ngayon or kung ito po ay depression. So, may mga tinatawag na other possible diagnosis, yung mga pwede nating isipin na differentials. Okay. Mean age is 51 and most persons develop it by 60 to 70. Some may remain free of clinical indications into the late 70s and that is good. Okay, so hindi naman lahat talaga ay magkakaroon ng Alzheimer's. So, what is the baseline? Ang baseline po, wag na huni yung basahin ng buong ito sapagkat mamaya may papakita pa akong research na medyo mas mahaba. Pero sinasabi dito, ang baseline ng kanilang functioning. Paano mo malalaman ang baseline kung hindi ka naman nagpapatingin? Yun po ang parati namin sinasabi. So, kung magpapatingin ka uli sa akin at your age of 35, I wouldn't know what to say because I don't have a baseline of what you are at this point. Are you performing well? I have to base it on a lot of other reports. If you are still going to a program or if you are actually working. So napakahalaga po, alam ko po kung ano yung pinanggalingan para malaman natin kung may pagbabago. Ang pinapansin po natin, self-care, personal achievements, academic employment milestones, their talents, skills, hobbies, and may mga memory specialists na po tayo. I would like to mention Memory Center of Makati Medical Center, which is one of the best ones. I think there are other centers that are already starting in other hospitals. So, kailangan po ng formal screening at saka may test po talaga na ginagawa para sa mga individual na to. Most adults with Down syndrome will not self-report. So, ibig sabihin, hindi nila sasabihin, alam mo, mami, nakakaligta na ako ng mga bagay-bagay. Hindi nila sasabihin yon. Instead, yung caregiver ang makakaalala. Alam mo, nagagawa na niya yan eh. Dati, alam mo bakit nawala na yung kakayahan niyang yan? Meron po kasi kami nag-iisang adult na tiningnan po namin ng isang neurologist na talagang ginawa namin po lahat ng test. Pero hindi po lumabas kasi 29 lang siya noon eh. Magta-30 lang. So sabi ko, baka hindi po ito hindi po ito Alzheimer's, baka iba pong kondisyon. So anyway, dapat po dalhin sa doktor na makakabigay ng paraan para malaman natin kung ano itong nangyayari sa mga anak ninyo. So these are the differentials. Hindi ko na po ito tatagalan kasi napakahirap basahin. Just to tell you that these are mostly neurologic conditions. May mga nangyayari na sa utak. Pero ang pinakamahalaga siguro ay to rule out depression and other psychiatric disorders. And that is something that is necessary so that we will be able, ito po kasi mabibigyan po sila ng gamot. Kung may gamot po na karapat-dapat do sa kanyang sakit. Okay. Ang take-home points, screening for memory impairment. If this is suspected, go to the doctor who is actually an expert. And if it is diagnosed, be familiar with what's happening. There is an Alzheimer's Society, I think, in the Philippines already. And create a formal support network. And you know that there are support networks, but they are only for the young. Where are the support networks for those who are older? Okay. So planning for old age. Ako, sinasabi ko na rin ito sa sarili ko kasi hindi naman sa old ako. But I am getting there. So, one, it is so important to stay socially connected. Kasi napaka-social, very social, hindi lang social, sociable ang mga individual na may Down syndrome. Pero habang tumatanda, napapansin mo na parang nagsuslow down. So napakahalaga na meron tayong programa para sa tumatanda na may Down syndrome. Ang mga programa natin ngayon ay lahat para sa mga bata. And I would like to think that we can create programs. And that is my commitment to Northfield. And I will make sure that we have programs actually for those who are older. Okay, so social interaction is good because it maintains physical, mental well-being, and what is so important is that it is also preventive sometimes of depression. Living environments and housing. Nabanggit kanina ni Pepot, ni Dr. De Los Reyes, saan kaya natin lalagay si Eman pag tumanda na? Okay, so sa bahay pa rin ba or siya ay wala naman ho tayong mga residential centers talaga. If there are some residential centers, they're privately managed and privately owned and really meant for their own children or relatives. So if there are considerations of staying at home, then you have to remember that even the parents themselves are in their old age. So dapat ho tandaan natin na pati yung magulang maliban dun sa anak ay dapat tulungan. Dynamic ang process ng pagtanda. Okay, nagbabago at nagbabago. So kailangan magplano. Magplano para may mga potential crisis like a death will not incapacitate you. Okay, and explore when possible how the role of the siblings will be as extended or extended family members in the lives of their loved ones. Pag nasa group home naman, na napakahirap gawin sapagkat mahirap pong magturo sa mga nurse, maybe mga practitioners po na para sa mga matatanda. Sa ibang bansa, marami po ito. 'Di ba? Kaya nga po marami po ang naapektuhan sa ibang bansa ng COVID sapagkat marami po sila nakatira sa residential or institutions. Okay, so sana po iba din po ang ating pananaw dito at baguhin din natin kasi sa palagay ko ay marami tayong maiiba at magagawang paraan na di tulad ng mga nakikita na natin sa ibang bansa. So I hope that we can be more creative and we can be more compassionate. About retirement, okay, this is something that I always read because you want to continue as you work. As you age pala, you want to continue your work, but you have to simplify or modify your routines, okay? And accept the fact that maybe you can create opportunities na for recreation, okay? But it should not be without stimulation or opportunity. Kasi dapat may connection ka pa rin sa isa't isa. So we have to connect with each other. And that's good to have Viber groups. It's good to have, all these groups. Pero minsan nakakagulat na lang tingnan yung Viber thread mo. Kasi hindi mo na alam kung sino yung kausap mo. Minsan. Flexibility for schedule will be also good. And the take-home points, social connectedness, thinking proactively, they have to be routinely living into an older age, and transitioning out of the family is a possibility. But in the Philippines, as mentioned, and this is a research that we want to do, how many still stay at home and how many really go out of the home? Okay, and how do we reduce the demands and expectations on them? Actually, bumababa nga expectation natin kasi hindi na sila nag-aaral. Marami, ang taas na expectation pag nasa school, pag nasa grade level. Gusto nilang maging grade 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pero talaga bang grade 6 sila? Sa palagay ko, hindi. May mga totoong nasa grade 6 pero may mga accommodations. Now, let's understand what they mean. What do you want to happen to these individuals, to your children? Do you want them to rely on you for life, or do you want to teach them skills that they should know until, even when you are not there? Okay. So planning for the future is to plan ahead, make decisions during the times when things are calm and relaxed. Well, it's not that COVID time is calm and relaxing, but it is the time that we can make decisions, okay? We can weigh all options, pero may crisis tayo ngayon. Kaya nakakulong tayo at the lockdown is a problem. So this is really a very nice model of a care team where everybody looks after this one person in the middle. But that means a whole lot of people really, really involved in this individual's life. Now, right now, there are so many people involved, especially for the younger ones. There are therapists, there are school, there are teachers, and so forth and so on. I think that you have to invest more into services that are going to last long, your caregivers, individuals who will take care of this individual as long as he is alive. Okay, hindi po ito masyadong malinaw, ewan ko lang kung nakikita ninyo, pero marami pong topics to consider as you take care. So hindi ko na po ito babanggitin, but I think that you can take a screenshot if you like of this, but this is also included in the text or in the material that I suggested. Ito lang po ang siguro idadagdag ko. Ito po ay napakahirap pag-usapan, lalo na po sa mga nakikinig na may anak na napakabata pa. Paano mo iisipin ang end of life when this child has just been born? Siyempre, hindi mo naman iisipin ng buo ito. But put it in the background. You have to consider this. Because if you did not plan, then it makes you feel even worse. Because you did not really think about what can happen to the others when you are actually gone, or to your child when you are gone. Yung parati sinasabi ng maraming magulang sa akin, kaya naiiyak sila, Doktor, ano kaya mangyari sa anak ko kung ako ay wala na? Ang sagot ko parati dyan, ang dapat ho natin gawin ay magpundar tayo. Let us invest in him so that he will be prepared, so that you will not worry about him when you are gone. Okay, and let's not talk about things that you cannot do, but let's talk about things that we can do. So on take-home points, ang decision maker usually has to be identified. Sino ba ito? Okay. And engage the decision maker in the end of life wishes. Hindi tayo gumagawa nito masyado sa Pilipinas. Sa ibang bansa, meron na po silang mga parang yung will na ginagawa maski buhay pa sila. Tayo hindi natin magawa yun kasi parang naniniwala pa tayo doon sa mga kasabihan na, naku, huwag ka muna gumawa niyan, baka talaga matuluyan ka. And tackle the tough decisions at that time when there is no crisis. Pag wala pong crisis, huwag naman ho siguro ngayon. Mas natatakot po yung mga kasama nyo sa bahay. Ngayon, dinagdag ko lang po ito at hindi po ito masyadong mahaba. Sa aking palagay, baka makatulong kasi marami po mga nagtatanong sa akin kung anong gagawin nila pag may pandemic. Okay, these are some of the questions that have been raised by a group of organizations and committees actually on specific questions on like, is general COVID-19 information available? Yes, this is available and you can download it. Hindi po ibig sabihin na siya ay Down syndrome, iba na po ang kanyang listahan. You can still download the information from the CDC, from the NIH, and from any health department. Like for us, is the Department of Health. Pareho lang po yan. Pero may karagdagan. Siguro ang tanong ay, mas mataas ba ang risk? Ito po yung grupo na naggawa nito, and the organizers of this Q&A were actually also the Down Syndrome Medical Interest Group from the United States, the Global Down Syndrome Association, National Down Syndrome Congress, NDSS, and other supporting organizations. So, ang galing dahil nagsama-sama lahat ng mga Down Syndrome Associations para magtanong ng ito po yung mga tanong na parating binibigay o hinahanap ng mga pamilya na may anak na Down syndrome. Okay. The CDC and the NIH are actually very good sources. Okay. Sinasabi nila, hina-highlight parati nila at risk or high risk. Ang Down syndrome ba ay high risk for getting COVID? In general, although the Down syndrome are more likely to get infections, also many people with Down syndrome have medical problems, it could make them more at risk for severe illness. Dahil dito, hindi po dahil sa just the Down syndrome, but because they may have other medical conditions. Yun po ang rason kung bakit very cautious tayo sa mga may Down syndrome. Okay, they're part of the high-risk group. Okay, ano yung mga medical problems that put them at risk? Unang-una, yung mga sakit sa puso. Ito na po ay sakit sa puso na maybe not when they were born, but rather which they already got as they grew older. Chronic respiratory problems, history of severe infections, asthma, obstructive sleep apnea, na pag-usapan natin ito ng konti. At dun sa may lower immune function, like nagkaka-diabetes yung iba. At yung iba po ay nagkakaroon ng, may grupo po na nagkakaroon ng leukemia. At saka dun sa mga nabibigyan ng mga gamot din para sa mga immune system problems, katulad ng rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, or psoriasis. Okay, wag niyo na hong basahin yan sapagkat isa-summarize ko na po. Our findings, according to this research, based on our data, we conclude that patients with Down syndrome are not only more likely to be hospitalized, but also that their comorbid conditions, natatandaan niyo po ang comorbidity, including diabetes. Even for individuals who are not with Down syndrome, if you have a comorbid condition, yun ang magpapatira sa iyo sa bahay, kaya po kayo ay reverse isolation, nasa bahay po kayo. Lalo na po yung mga may Down syndrome kasi kung may diabetes sila, yan ay kung alam natin na may diabetes sila. Ang isa pa po ay, it warns that you should give attention to the prevention and treatment because they are at higher risk for hospital-induced complications. Okay, so dahil po, yung mga iba hindi alam kung may diabetes kasi ang tataba, so, is there obesity, risk factor? Yes, it could be a risk factor. So, these individuals actually are at home, and most of them are part of the protected group. Okay, so paano po yung mga social distancing? Paano mo sasabihin dun sa mga gusto lumabas, sasabihin mo, pwede mong sabihin, hindi naman sa pag lumabas tayo, may mga lugar naman na safe, pero mahirap po sa mga batang hindi mo makontrol. Okay, pag ang bata hindi mo makontrol o ang adult for that matter hindi mo makontrol, mahirap po silang ilabas. When you go out, pwede mong sabihin, do not sit, stand, walk close to another person. Napakahirap gawin po ito. Kasi yung social distancing po ay napakahalaga. Okay? And it's so hard for them sometimes to wear a mask. Okay, so mga iba sa kanila hindi mo nga malagyan ng kahit na ano sa kanilang harap, yung sa mukha nila. So paano pa kaya ang mask? Pati tayo nahihirapan huminga pag may mask. paano pa kaya sila? So, bawal din po ay naku, napakahilig po nilang yumakap, mag-shake ng hands kasi napaka-sociable kasi. Napakahalaga po na alam natin ito. How can I help a person with Down syndrome understand? Using social stories. Ito po yung, pag meron po akong nakikita na pasyente ko na may Down syndrome, sinasabi ko po na ano po ginagawa ng therapist mo. Kasi napakahalaga na ituro sa inyo ano yung mga importante para maiwasan natin ang problemang ito. Mahilig po silang yumakap, mahilig po silang alam niyo naman po, napaka-sociable. Hindi ho natin pwedeng pagawa sa kanila ngayon. Paano may explain yon? May mga paraan. Kahit na ho doon sa hindi nagsasalita, meron ho mga schedule, may mga boards na nakikita mo, communication boards that are available actually. And hand washing is also something that they can do and practice. Okay, so is travel safe for Down syndrome? Tayo na lang nga, nahirap na tayong mag-travel, lalo na po yung may Down syndrome. But there are some who will need to travel because of maybe an illness. So what do we need to consider? Okay, so saan ka pupunta first? Is it important enough to risk infection? That means if you're going to travel because of operation, then that's important. How would I manage if I or my family member becomes infected while traveling? Those are questions that you need to ask. Which one of us is what if one of us is hospitalized away from home? So ito po, napakahalaga din. And what if one of us is quarantined in a place we are traveling to? Nangyari na po ito, na naging sitwasyon na po ito na sa isang pasyente ko po na natakot siya na baka siya na-expose. So, pina-check namin mabuti. In the meantime, hiniwalay muna namin siya doon sa kanyang anak. Kasi napakahalaga po na dapat malaman namin kung ang anak niya ay mahahawa or mabibigyan ng COVID. Pero sa awa ng Diyos ay hindi po siya nagkaroon. Hindi rin po. Check na po yung buong bahay nila. Okay. How can you help people with Down syndrome reduce stress and stay well? Okay. You have to have routines. Okay. So, ang routine po yan, pagising niya sa umaga, anong gagawin niya. So, hindi po yung alas 10 na po kami gigising. Mami, ganun naman talaga. Doktora, ganun talaga naman gumising yan. Sabi kasi no nanay, wag daw gisingin. Dapat ho may schedule. Maimportante po may schedule kahit na sino po, kahit na nagsasalita siya, kung hindi man siya nagsasalita, okay, may schedule. Keep regular sleep schedules, lalo na ang pagtulog. Eat a balanced diet, that's very important. And that is important also to stick to 3 balanced meals and 2 snacks, drink plenty of fluids, and if possible, you take walks outside. Stay 6 feet away from other people. It may help make a list of activities that are allowed both indoors and outdoors. Okay, malapit na po tayong magtapos. Should people with Down syndrome still go to school, work, day programs, or other activities? Maraming eskwela po ay sarado ngayon. In fact, even special schools are thinking whether they should. Minsan po kasi, it is different when you do online and it is different when you do actual face-to-face encounters. So, may mga guidance po sa mga special schools na nagbubukas. Sa ibang bansa, katulad ng Inglaterra, nagbubukas po sila, nakabukas sila. Katulad ng Amerika, nagbubukas po sila. Pero may mga guidelines. Katulad po nito, papasok siya sa eskwela, ito po ang pinanggalingan, Down Syndrome Resource Foundation, papakita mo po through pictures kung ano yung gagawin niya. I'm going back to school, but my school will look different when I go back. This is okay, kasi nakikita niyo po yung mga linya dun sa sahig. So, dapat po, dito ka lang, diyan ka lang. So, dapat naintindihan po niya yan. And there will be a tape on the floor telling me where to stand. So, social distancing yan. Okay, so until such time. But I think, I'm not sure whether we are doing this at this point in time. I don't know all the schools, but I guess siguro pag nagbukas na yung public schools, malalaman natin kung ilan doon na magbubukas with a limited number, ilan doon sa mga may special schools ang magbubukas din with a limited number of individuals. Okay. And social story going back to school, and these are important because you need to know what it means when you go back to school after the COVID-19. Ano ba yung COVID-19? So, social stories are actually helpful because nakakatulong po ito sa mga batang may ang kaalaman nila, minsan hindi sila nakakabasa. So, you will talk in pictures. So, these are opportunities for them to understand why they are going to school, why they should distance from each other. So, it takes time to actually train. Okay. So, in summary, we gave you a general overview of aging, common medical conditions, emotional and psychiatric well-being, and an introduction to Alzheimer's disease, and finally, the effect of COVID-19 on Down syndrome. Matatapos na po tayo actually. Ito po ay binanggit dito sa material na napag-usapan ko. Growing older has its ups and downs for everyone. Adults with Down syndrome, as well as their families and caregivers, need a support network to help celebrate victories and offer guidance during challenging times. Remember to reach out for help and stay connected. So let me just remind you about staying connected. When you say staying connected, we know that the people around us will have good connections and strong relationships because they will say they have a better quality of life, they are more independent, they don't need as much help with daily living, they are less lonely, they have less depression, and they have less or slower progression of dementia if they do have dementia. So these are very important because physical and mental health will be your primary issues as the individual gets older. And we hope that we are part of your team, still part of your team, hindi lang for early intervention, but also for this particular time in your individual life. I would like to remember at this point one of my early patients, early favorites, and during the Griffiths training course, of which many of my developmental pediatricians were trained, he was one of those who actually impressed our teacher, the one who trained us, because he was so good. And when the teacher said, because it was the Griffiths course, sinabi ng teacher, can you please draw yourself and draw a house? Okay. When he was asked to draw himself, he drew a family. Kasi sabi niya, hindi naman daw siya self lang. He is part of a family. And sadly, the family was very, I would say, the father passed away and was a member of the Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines then, and mom is still a member. But it was very sad for mom because Andy left her recently. But I think Andy left a legacy where many individuals with Down syndrome will be as good as they are, can be as good as they are for whatever they were meant to be and meant to do in this earth. Okay, so he belonged to the school of our last speaker for today, Archie David, who actually heads and is the director of the ILLC, which is a center for individuals who are older and who need specialty help, particularly for growing up and for living independently. And this I would like to dedicate to him because he lived a healthy life, but he also wanted to have the best for his mom. And I hope that his mom is part of this discussion. I reminded her to attend this, but it will take some time for her to maybe accept Andy's demise. I would like to thank and dedicate this to my many children who are now adults with Down syndrome, to Samantha, J. Marie, Timmy, Eman, and many others. And if I did not say your name, it is not because I forgot you, but because I have so many of you to take care of, who have celebrated their life with me and have Down syndrome. So successful people, and they are successful, do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And they have crossed that bridge wherein they have done what they can do for themselves and their families. So, magandang umaga po. Thank you very much.
Okay, salamat po. Salamat po, Dr. Reyes, sa very informative po na lecture. So, the floor is now open po for question. Sino po yung may gustong itanong kay Doktora? Para po at least habang po nandito siya, masagutan na po
Dito
niya.
naman ako actually the whole day.
Oh, wow.
So I will be with the team to help you out, and especially for the last part.
So, wala po bang gustong magtanong? I-continue na po natin. Okay, so
Wala pang gusto magtanong. Okay.
Sige po, wala pa po.
Mamaya siguro ipunin nila yan. Oo.
Sige
Kung may
po.
mga tanong, sabihin ko sana, pakilagay sa chat box. Most likely, lalagay nila sa chat box kasi tunay na Pinoy tayo. Hindi natin gagawing magsalita pa. Mamaya pa.
Sige po, sige po. Okay, so now we move forward sa ating next session. For this, now we come to this special moment with special people. Joining us today is Miss Samantha Goles, a person with Down syndrome.
I promised to help Samantha, so I will probably help by asking the questions. Hi, Sam. You look so good. How are you?
I'm good.
You're good. So welcome to this wonderful conference, and I hope that you listened to my talk. Did you listen to the talk?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so maybe you can start by telling us all about yourself, very important things in your life that meant something to you, and or how you actually dealt with your maybe struggles and or your problems as you were growing older. Okay.
When I was growing older, I have a loving family. And I also like to think that for my friends, is always there for me and always support me in what I do. And as an adult, I feel that I am proud that I am here with my family, and I'm also doing the best I can to provide for our family. And also for the love and the care that my family and my siblings give me.
Sam, can you tell us about your struggles during the time of the pandemic? What happened to you?
I got easily sick and I couldn't sleep. I was in the ICU then.
Yeah. Can you tell us something about your hospitalization? What happened then?
I was so scared to be in the hospital, and there are parts that I couldn't really understand why my body was almost shutting down. So I don't want to happen that again ever.
And what did you do so that you were able to maybe surpass some of your problems? You know, what did you do so that you became well again?
What I do, I always listen to the people who was with me in the ICU and also to my family. And
Yeah.
I always pray to God to bring me back to them.
That's good. That's good. So what happened to you when this was during what month? What month did it happen? Okay. So can you tell us about it?
I had some seizures then, so I couldn't really stop it. It was like my feet and my legs were like shaking already. So I got so scared.
Yeah, and what did you do so that you became you were able to maybe help yourself? You know, what did you do to help yourself during this time?
I do I always want to eat well and eat healthy and live my life a longer life, and I always like to exercise and dance.
Yeah, because you have to tell them that you took a trip, a special trip from Iloilo, Bacolod to Manila. Because what happened to you then? What was going on?
I was brought to the other hospital in here in Manila. That's why I was had a special trip through an air ambulance.
Wow, wow. So yeah, what was the experience like when you were in the air ambulance?
I felt like parang no. I feel that I overcome all of the struggles in the hospital, so I have to be in the air ambulance to just get all the stress out of me.
So you were admitted in a hospital and you were brought directly from Bacolod. Who accompanied you in the plane?
It was my batchmate's brother who was a
Ah,
doctor. No. It was my mom. It was my mom,
yes, and who else?
my brother.
Yes, your mom and your brother were so scared because something was wrong, you know. Nothing was happening when you were in Bacolod. You were hospitalized in Bacolod, di ba? And then parang there was nothing that was, things were not getting any better. That's why you were transferred to Manila. Okay. So how did you find your hospital stay in Manila?
It was good. All the medicines that I so don't like, I just keep on drinking them and follow the doctor's orders.
Very good. So, did they give you injections and they put yeah? So were you brave enough?
Wounds in my arm.
Really? So you have something? Do you have anything to show us about your wounds? No, not anymore. Present. There. Okay.
And
Oh,
also,
okay. I did not realize that there was a cut down. Okay, so nagkaroon ng cut down.
I see here a lot,
A lot. Okay.
sometimes here, and also one in my neck.
Okay, you were very brave. So what made you brave, Samantha? What made you brave?
It made me brave that I have to follow all the doctor's orders and also for my family. So I have to keep on to be strong for my family and also wanted to provide for them.
Yeah. But because before this, what was your work, Sam? What did you do? Because you're already how old now?
I am 27
Okay. And
and
what was your work before?
in Kumon in
Mm-mm.
Bacolod.
Yes. Okay. You were a common teacher in Bacolod. Oh wow. So you're yeah.
Kumon assistant.
Common assistant teacher. Okay, okay na yun, common assistant teacher. But that's good. And did your students miss you?
Yes, all of them misses me already.
Oh, okay. So, and what do you teach in common? I mean, what do you do in common?
In Kumon, I teach English and mathematics to our students.
Oh, wow, that's very good. And so when you were you're still in Manila, aren't you? You're still in Manila. Why are you still in Manila? Why don't you go back to Bacolod?
I cannot go back to Bacolod because there is COVID-19 or COVID scattered around Bacolod, so I cannot go home yet. That's why I'm
Ah,
still here.
Oh, but COVID is also here in Manila. There are more here than in Bacolod. I think that you are safer in Bacolod than in Manila. But you are
Yeah.
right. So you are staying lang in the, what do you do to be safe? How do you keep safe?
I keep safe by staying in our condo and also just going out, like going to the rooftop and to just exercise and just roam around the rooftop.
And then what do you do? You also, what do you, how do you keep, how do you spend your time? I mean, apart from the going to the rooftop and talking, how do you spend your time? Do you read? Do you call people?
Actually, I call people and I also write on my diary to share all of my feelings and something else.
That's very good because I remember that you were such a good writer and you were able to remember when you write, you record all the things that happened to you and all the things I hope you wrote because your dad is still in Bacolod, isn't he? In
Yep.
Bacolod? Oh, you can say hello to your dad because he's watching now.
Yep.
He's watching together with your brother and your sister. They're watching. Are they all watching?
My brother is not here, so it's just my sister, my mom, and my sister's friend.
Okay. So what have you been doing after you got well? So when you were discharged from the hospital, you stayed in Manila. So what have you been doing? Ang tagal na nun. It's been a long time.
I was just chilling here in our condo, but in our room, and I also keep on listening to music, singing in my phone. I also like to dance. I like to write in my diary. I like to watch other stuff in my tablet, but
Mhm.
I just put away my tablet so I will not to watch. I just do music.
Very good. Excellent. So, what is your favorite music, type of music?
Like reggae music, pop music, hip hop music, and also I like jazzy, and I also like more sad songs and classy songs.
Wow, so much. You like music a lot. Okay. So, and then what about dance? What do you do? Can you, well, I'm sure you can dance well. I've seen you dance.
Yep. I dance like martial fitness, and
Martial.
I also do Manang Leslie on YouTube.
Ah,
The walking exercise.
oh, okay. And then can you tell our audience what you were doing before you got sick? What you were, what were the things you were happy to do? What were your hobbies before you got sick? Before you got sick.
Before I got sick, I always do walking, dancing, and still singing. And I always do some other work when I was still in Kumon.
That's right. So you were still teaching. So so when you were admitted, that was June already.
Yeah,
So
like
before June, 'di ba nagkaroon na ng COVID. So what did you do during summer before you got sick?
I took care of my grandpa,
Oh. Mhm.
a caregiver to him.
But why is your grandpa sick?
No, he just likes to drink all of his medicines that his doctors give him. So I am the one giving it to him.
Oh, so he must be very happy to see you now in the computer, talking like this. And do you have a message for your grandpa and your dad who you have not seen for a long time? What do you want to tell them?
My message to my grandpa: take care always. Love you so much. I missed you. I hope you were here.
Oh, wow. Oh, but it's hard to hard to commute now. So maybe next time when things are better. But did you understand what COVID means or what it is? Do you have an
So
understanding of that?
COVID means like don't go out, like literally in the mall and somewhere else, and don't stick to either if you know that person, and if you don't know that person, stay away from those people who you do not really know, but mostly do not stick to your friends or to
Mhm.
your family, either from your family members. Stay away from them, like 6 feet or 5 feet away from them, so that they will not get caught from my condition, and also for me myself.
Yeah, you were very lucky, Sam, to be able to actually recover from your illness. So you had so many doctors in the hospital, and they looked after you so well. And we will have to thank them. Maybe some of them will be watching this webinar. And what do you want to tell your doctors, the people who took care of you, the nurses from St. Luke's? What is your message?
um Thank you for accompanying me in the hospital. Thank you for taking care of me. I know that you are now praying for me. So thank you for the people in St. Luke's.
Sam, I have a very big request, because the people who are watching this, some of them are parents of children with Down syndrome, small children, babies, in fact, babies, and some of them are older individuals. What message would you like to give these parents?
Um, Parents, I would
Uh,
like to say that
or,
please
yeah.
encourage your children to do any kind of chores that your parents give you, and all the activities that they are doing this for you and for yourself.
Yes. And what would you want to tell the children? What will you want to tell the children with Down syndrome?
Children, I would like to say that please be independent, and always listen to your family. If they are trying to tell you, you have to do it because it is for your own good.
Very, very good, Sam. I remember you when you were little, because you were actually in my clinic. You did not follow doctor always. Your mother would tell you, Sam, are you doing what I'm supposed to do? But you grew up to be such a wonderful wonderful woman. Woman ka na kasi big na eh, di ba? Oo. So there are many who are watching us who have small children, and they would like to know how you became as good as you are now. So what will you tell the families? How will they help their children? What do you want to tell the families?
Can you repeat the question, Doc?
Okay, sige. Sige. So we are only seeing each other, but you know that there are 84 people who are watching us in the Zoom, and more people in the FB who are watching us, and some of them have children with Down syndrome. Okay, so maybe it would be good to tell the families, or maybe I can change the question so it's a little easier for you. What do you want to tell the families who have children with Down syndrome? What do you want them to remember? Kasi you have a wonderful family who helped you grow up, but you would like to share that information. So what do you want to tell these families who have children like you? Little ones, big ones. So what do you want to tell them?
um, do everything you can for your family, and also to be an obedient child to your parents, and always listen to them as if they are telling you something. You have to obey, and to also remember that your parents are doing this just for you and nobody else.
That is a wonderful statement coming from someone who we had the hard time in the beginning, and I think that can I change the schedule and just include mom in the picture? Is mom there? Where's your mom?
She's here.
Oh, she's there. Okay, can she say a few words so that we will just end the conversation? Just a few words. She will kill me, but never mind. Anyway, she's not prepared.
By the way, Doc, I forgot. You said about a message from my grandpa and from my dad.
Yes.
I
What's the
forgot
message?
about my dad. Sorry. I would like to say that, Dad, thank you for watching. Thank you for everything. Dad, thank you for the memories that we had together. And I am here in Manila. Don't you worry. I will be safe, and you too. Take care.
Galing. Okay. Hindi natin ni-rehearse to, Sam. It is something that came very spontaneously. I just want mom to give the last word because I think she Sam will always be Samantha who is better spontaneously than we didn't actually have a script for this. So we just want to make certain that we had an opportunity to talk to a, a child then who I saw at 11 days of age. To this point in time, that I'm so grateful to still be a part of her life and to be still helping her in her journey to be a very good person. Yeah. So, mommy has a few words. What do you want to say to the other parents who may be watching?
Didn't tell me that I was going to go on.
The best is really spontaneous. Kaya nga, hindi ka na nakasuot ng ano. Mabuti na yun, spontaneous.
Wala.
Okay lang.
I guess everything was summed up by Sam's answers to your questions. We hope that her spontaneous answers to your unprepared, unscripted Q&A would be an inspiration to other families. And we are very thankful for the early intervention that the Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines accorded us when Sam was 11 days old. So for that, we will always be grateful. And Dr. Reyes, Dr. Alexis has become our friend more than a doctor to Sam. So thank you, everyone.
So yes, thank you, Sam, and thank you, Trish, for the impromptu speech. But I felt that if we actually did this with a script, it wouldn't have turned out to be spontaneous. I have taken care of Sam since she was 11 days of age. When after hearing that there was a conference in Iloilo, mom who just gave birth and was still like recovering from her pregnancy, from her delivery, rode the boat from Bacolod to Iloilo to hear us talk. And since that time, Sam has been my patient. And the very fact that she's from Bacolod tells you very much about the determination of this family to really have her seen and have her evaluated on a regular basis. They never missed an opportunity to visit, and for whatever it is, it helped them actually go through their journey. and as it is for many others who followed, who understood, who were part of, and I was part of their lives. I am so grateful. It is me. I am grateful. I'm grateful to be part of your life. And, uh, and I am showing you off to the rest of the Philippines and maybe to a little part of the world where this webinar will be seen. So thank you, Sam. If you have anything else to say, what would you want to say to the parents who are listening now? Your last words.
Thank you for watching, and I think that please be a role model to your children so that your children will always idolize you and to
Wow.
be an inspiration to the family.
Very good, Sam. I couldn't have said it any better. So I hope we have had a very good session and an early one that it ends our morning session a little earlier than usual. So thank you again, Sam. You have been one of my inspirations and a realization of what can happen if you do well and if your family actually is part of your management in your life. So thank you for that, Sam. She's one of my first patients actually when I returned from abroad. So I this is an opportunity to be very, very grateful and to thank her and her wonderful family, who is already my family when I go to Bacolod. So with that, I think we can wrap up our segment in terms of this morning session. So thank you very much again for the organizers. Thank you, Pepot, and thank you to Norphil for sponsoring this and to my to my students who are watching. I hope that this is also an example of what is yet to come. Okay, thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Doc.
Yes,
Actually, one last.
yes.
Kind of missed you already because I think I really wanted to go out so that we can hang out, even though it's still COVID or no COVID. I miss our hanging outs and eating and drinking in Starbucks.
Yes. Ay nako, if you only knew, I would love to go out. You know, your doctor is a senior citizen.
Uh,
So she's locked in, not locked out. We will go out before you go back to Bacolod. We will
okay.
go out. I promise you.
So miss us, ano ha? Miss you
Yeah.
so much that, Tito Lou is harder. I kind of
Ah,
missed you already when I was in Iloilo.
oh, okay. Okay. So you met him as well. Okay. So I think this ends our session. Thank you very much for all who have listened and who have written their comments in the chat box. So it's wonderful to be part of Sam's family. I'm already part of her family, as I am a part of many families who have Down syndrome. So thank you very much.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Good morning.
Morning. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you po, Sam, for inspiring us this morning. So joining us today is Mr. Hercules Parajang, Country Director of CBM.
Um, I'm sorry, I cannot start my video.
Hercules Parajang.
Yes, I'm here, but I cannot show my video.
Okay.
Okay,
Sir
can you hear me now?
Everything's clear po. Your PowerPoint has been presented sa screen. Kita po ng lahat.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Uh, my admiration to Sam and the family who really cared for Sam and bringing out all the best in Sam's potentials. Very articulate. It's quite surprising. Um, also the cognitive skills of Sam, really very strong, accurate, and thank you for all the specialists, the doctors that really help Sam grow out to be the Sam that she is today. So my discussion now will be about me as a parent. So you're seeing. Thank you, Yuhan, for the introduction, and also thank you, Doc Faye and Miss Tere, for inviting me to talk about me as a parent of a child with Down syndrome. So my talk will be in four parts. Number one is I'd like to talk about Kara, her story, and then number two, I'll talk about the dreams of a parent with a child with Down syndrome and all other parents with children with Down syndrome. And then the fourth is about um, looking at the situation, but I will not be repeating what Ms. Tere Noki has already said. I will focus more on my observations, having traveled to three and also different parts of the world as a development worker, and zeroing in on the core issue that needs to be tackled on the issue about caring for Down syndrome. And then finally, I would like to end by identifying potential actions that we as different parts of society can help in nurturing and caring for persons with disabilities. So with that, I'll start with introducing to you my daughter, Kara. You'll see I put in the center about making waves, no? And I'm happy that Sam is already making waves, showing her skills, showing her potentials, and I'm very happy to learn that Sam is already a teacher because Kara was also trying to become one, acting like one teacher. So Kara was born 26 years ago, so 1994. She's now 26. But she was born not only with Down syndrome, but a condition like jaundice. She was also diagnosed with a hole in his heart. And after 3 months in the hospital, was also diagnosed with leukemia. So you can just see the different health concerns and challenges that we as parents have to contend with. So Kara was in and out of the hospital to do the treatments, including chemotherapy. And it was really a very challenging time for us because it was affecting us emotionally, physically, because we were not able to sleep well every night for 1 year. And it was also financially draining because just the cost of the chemotherapy and having a salary of net of 8,000 per month. So we have to rely on other people's support, including our relatives. But for 1 month, for 1 year, we encountered several problems as far as sustaining the chemotherapy of Kara. So, and our relatives can no longer support us of that 1 year medication. So I and my wife had a one-on-one talk, and we assessed the situations, and we finally agreed that we will no longer continue with the chemotherapy of Kara, and we just have to leave it to God, whether God will give us Kara alive or not. So we were in this situation, and so we decided to talk to our doctor, including Dr. Kativis, that we have decided, because we don't have resources anymore, we have decided to discontinue the treatment of Kara. And the doctor told us that if that is the case, then you have we have to sign a waiver that whatever happens to the child after getting her out of the hospital and the treatment, nobody will be liable except us parents. So we took her out of the hospital after 1 year, then visited one of the churches and said that if you will let Kara live, we are willing to take care of her as long as she needs us. And if not, and if you want to take her life away from us, then we're also prepared. So that's very emotional experience, and very trying times for us as a family. So we did everything, including going to churches with miracles already known, bringing Kara there to ask for his life. So after 1 year, surprisingly, according to the doctor, he said that she was already healed with leukemia, and the hole in her heart is no longer is already healing, and so that was really a surprise for us. So really, very difficult times, and we're just very thankful that Kara is still alive, despite all the health concerns that she experienced early in life, not even 1 year old. So then after that miraculous healing comes the next problem for parents like us. So what's next? What else is needed? No? So it's like learning as we go. So we just have to observe Tara, just have to listen to her because she's not really very articulate. She uses sign language and does tantrum if we cannot understand what she wanted. So then when she grew up, she was really very masayahin, bibo, vivacious, full of life. No? She jokes around and multi-talented. She dances well, and she's even invited to attend provincial the Sinulog in Cebu to dance a Sinulog dance together with their team. She also sings, although we cannot understand her, but the tone, you already know that she's singing. She likes coloring books, and she loves bocce. I don't know if you know what's bocce. It's like a bowling but outside, no? And she even won the provincial meet and was supposed to be going to the regional meet representing the province in the sports of Buchi. And she has full of potential because um, she even reads my books on change management, on development management, and the like. And the only thing is that she writes something on it that sometimes I can no longer read what is written on the book, but that's okay because of her curiosity. And she likes animation movies, especially hooked on the movie Frozen, and she likes Elsa a lot. No? And so now she's taking a bath, dresses by herself, and she knows her daily routine from the time she wakes up until nighttime. So for me, that's a good one. Then something happened just late last year, or was it early in 2019? Kara showed signs of a changed behavior. He doesn't talk anymore. Of course, she talks by herself. She's like speaking to somebody which we cannot see. And so we were surprised what happened. And so we looked for answers, and we found that she may have suffered depression. And according to the doctor, it may be because of hormonal changes. And coupled with that, the death of her brother, and also being separated with her best friend when she was elevated to another level in SPED class. So really, for us, it's a roller coaster ride, to work with a child like Kara, but the parent drive, the parents' intention to really make do while she's still alive, still there. So she was given antidepressants, and now she's feeling better. Except that, according to I can remember what Dr. Reyes has said, that there's also a situation where they can no longer sleep regularly. So sleep apnea. Sometimes she sleeps early at 7 o'clock in the evening and wakes up at 3. Sometimes she sleeps at 12 o'clock and then wakes up at 8 or 9. So that's another question mark on our part. How do we deal with this? So it goes on and on, especially hearing Dr. Alexis' discussion about aging, and even how do we prepare as parents when we already see our child experiencing this type of health situations, including sleep difficulties. So the question about transitioning to adulthood, we're still learning, and I'm happy that I'm part of this conference because we still have a lot of things to do, and probably because of the health requirements of Kara when she started, when she starts growing older, including because we already discussed this with my wife. What if we die?
Tonight, I'll be eating a veggie cheeseburger on ciabatta. No tomatoes. Tonight, I'll be eating 4 cheese tortillas.
Not sure what that is, but
Tonight, I'll be eating a veggie cheeseburger on ciabatta. No tomatoes. Tonight, I'll be eating 4 cheese tortellini with extra.
all right. Maybe I can continue.
Tonight, I'll be eating a veggie cheeseburger on ciabatta. No tomatoes. Tonight, I'll be eating 4 cheese tortellini with extra tomatoes. So it's come to this. Thank you. Bravo.
Careful, Hamill. Daddy's not here to save you.
Oh, I am my daddy. Wait, what?
There's something.
Tonight, I'll be eating roasted
problem.
cauliflower. Tonight, I'll be eating a veggie cheeseburger on ciabatta. No tomatoes. I'll be eating 4
Johan?
cheese tortellini with extra tomatoes. So it's come to this. Thank you. Bravo.
Careful, Hamill. Daddy's not here to save you.
Oh,
Participants po, pa-off po ako ng mga ng mute. Papamute po ako ng mga mic.
Tonight, I'll be eating roasted cauliflower tacos with spicy chipotle sauce. Thank you.
Oh! I wasn't ready! You want cheese to go with that wine? Tonight, I'll be eating chicken tikka masala with garlic naan. Cheers.
I win again. Patrick. That's Sir Patrick. Ooh, sir.
Sir Bert, pasayin niyo po ulit continue.
Okay, maybe I can continue because that sound is already gone. So for us, it's a continuing journey. It's a continuing learning, working with our child Kara. We're already preparing for the what if. What if we die earlier than Kara? What will we do? Do we have already? So we're identifying relatives who may be able to care for Kara, but for as long as you wanted, sana buhay pa while Kara is still alive. You know? Then, what are our dreams, no, for our child and other children with Down syndrome? So, just like any other parent, we would like to have a child like what Sam is, what Sam is today. So, we hope to develop their talents and potentials while they are growing up, that they can contribute to society, and that they can live independently and probably have a family of their own. But it's not about what's our dream. Our parents, no? We parents, we have a dream for our child. It's not that's that important, but the most important thing is really what's your child's dream, you know? And it takes a lot of talking, observing, supporting, providing them with the right environment, and let them build their dreams at their own pace. So that's for parents. We also would like to see a real community that cares for its members regardless of their physical and mental impairments. So including children with Down syndrome and all children with disabilities. It's a good environment where everyone doesn't count, doesn't disparage, doesn't look down at our children. And I think it's only about awareness what can be done. Then for last of our dreams is really a very supportive external environment, which includes policies and laws that leave no one behind. Institutions of learning that cater to the specific needs spread across the country, especially to poor and underserved areas. More multidisciplinary professionals available across the country, very accessible, affordable, available quality services, and functioning referral system, including information on institutional care. So those are some of the dreams. But let me go to my third topic, which is the reality of the current situation in the Philippines without going into the information that Mr. has already provided. So I have just one is that the reality where most of the services, both educational and health services, are concentrated in urban areas and not so much in rural areas. I have been in the development for 30 years, traveling across Philippines and also across Asia, Central America, and Africa. And I always go to the remotest part of each of those countries, and I see children with disabilities as well as children with Down syndrome apparently only left being cared for by the parents who may not have access to this information, education, and health services. So, with this reality, um, I would really hope that the access to affordable and quality services will not be concentrated in urban areas, but I hope there will be more programs like what's been done by health center and also Norfield, going to the remotest barangays and municipalities to bring the good news that there's still hope for our children with Down syndrome. So with that, I hope there will be the poor and the underserved may always have may have this opportunity, no, to avail of the services just what like Kara has received, just that like Sam has received. Uh, but how to do that? I have some suggestions on what can we do together. Yeah. I'm happy that the Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines, as represented here by Mr. Harder, have provided us with information about what they are doing to help raise the awareness and the various services that can be availed of children and parents with Down syndrome. So my only request to the SAPI is to expand its programs and services to include community-based programs and outreach, just like what Norfield and the Health Learning Center are doing, especially in reaching out to the underserved, poor, and far-flung areas where services to children with Down syndrome are not available. The second action that I would want is for local government units to develop policies, ordinances that cater to the specific and development needs of children and people with disabilities, including children with Down syndrome. And I would like to cite the experience of Naga City, where they are one of the, I think one of the cities recognized for their developing their ability to serve persons with disabilities, including including those with Down syndrome. Also, for the Social Welfare and Development or the Persons with Disabilities Affairs Office, including the Federation of Persons with Disabilities, that they become more inclusive not only focusing on adults, but including youth, children, and their parents as representatives. So I think in terms of participation, for example, I admire Sam because with with her skills, with her articulate communications and cognitive skills, she will be one probably who can help this sector popularize the needs and also the concerns of the sector. Then for private sector companies and foundations, maybe they can expand their workplace diversity and inclusion policy by looking at the youth and adults with disabilities, including with those with Down syndrome, by providing them with employment opportunities or funding their projects through your foundations. An example that I can cite is the Jollibee in Manila in partnership with the government of Manila under Mayor Isko Moreno. So they have partnered and making sure that persons with disabilities are also provided the opportunity to be employed. Next is for the related healthcare professionals, maybe because of the need of children with disabilities, including those with Down syndrome in rural areas and hard to reach underserved areas, maybe you can extend outreach to underserved areas probably once a quarter or other related services by partnering with LGUs, NGOs, civil society, and DISAPI. Then for educational learning institutions, including SPED schools, catering to children with Down syndrome, maybe to develop community extensions, sending students, teachers to communities to do internships, community work, training of parents and support groups in hard-to-reach areas. I remember when I was a board member of Prime Center Foundation and also meeting some clients of Dr. Teves, people coming from Leyte, from Bohol, still have to come to Cebu, to have their children checked and treated, and even going to school, they still have to travel to Cebu to do that. Okay, so I hope that will be. Then the NGOs as well, NGOs, civil society organizations, catering to youth, adults, to share their expertise and innovative home-based, community-based programs and projects to the above mentioned organizations. And of course, to end this presentation, because it's already 12:16, just leave you a quote from Forward by Martha Beck in the book Down Syndrome Parenting 101 by Natalie Hale, that having a child with Down syndrome is an experience, very memorable experience, and a connection to a different and beautiful way of being human. It's fraught with difficulties, but worth every moment. With that, I want to thank you for this, for listening.
Salamat po, Sir Herc, sa pag-share po ng information sa amin. So, for this morning po, ready na po tayo mag-lunch. So, babalik po tayo lahat around 1:30.
For anything else lang po, saglit lang po, I am collecting attendance. So, one moment. Maraming salamat po sa pag-stay ninyo para sa ating morning sessions. Ngayong afternoon session po, ang simula po natin ay 1:30 at dire-diretso na po yan. Mabigat-bigat din po ang ating topics, kaya everyone, it's good to have you here. Thank you very much for being here. If you have any questions, paulit lang po, pakilagay po sa chat box para ma-discuss ng mga facilitators at speakers at masagutan mamaya. But thank you very much po, Sir Herc. Thank you very much po, Dr. Alexis. Thank you very much po, Sam. Good job po this morning, and we are honored to have your presence here. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat, at see you all this afternoon po.